Chapter 631. Then hurry up and vacate the room. 99th floor of the Black Tower. The fourth field trip location is a place called Tartarus, the prison of the gods. The guards who watch over the prison will kindly tell us about the incredible benefits of becoming a guard. But don't be fooled. It's all lies. Billing. Lies, even gods lie. Yeah, actually, the guards there are also gods who have committed crimes. If we become guards, the current guards can leave. Billing. Really? Then we must not become guards. Right, never. If you become a guard, you can never leave Tartarus, which means you'll never be able to see Sejun again. Billing. That's scary, I don't want to go. Don't worry, we can't decide our career path during the field trip anyway. The guards can't do anything to us. Billing. Okay. And the fifth field trip location is a place called the Resting Grounds of the Forgotten Gods, where dead gods stay briefly before disappearing. You need to be wary of the Gravekeeper here. Billing. The Gravekeeper. Yeah, they tempt you by saying you can obtain a vast amount of divine power or powers left behind by the gods' lingering thoughts. But in reality, the divine power is barely a trickle, and so far, only one power has ever appeared. In 1,000,000 years. Billing. Then we absolutely must not become gravekeepers either. Right? Plus, if you work for 100 years, they only give you a 12-hour break. Billing. That's really pitiful for the gravekeepers, and I'm truly grateful to Helnum for telling us this. Exactly. None of the other gods told us about this, but Helnum is truly a kind god. Sweetie, when you go see Helnum later, bring some alcohol. Helnum seems to like drinking. Billing. Okay, I'll bring about 100 bottles. And so, Toriong relayed the confidential information Hel had leaked directly to Sweetie. Since Toriong had also revealed classified information, the confidential information has been passed on to another. An additional fine of 7 billion divine power has been imposed. Remaining forcibly seized divine power, 7,299,321,000. The entire responsibility was shifted to the original informant, Hel. A price too heavy for being a kind god. This damn system, I will definitely impeach it. Thanks to this, Hel's resolve to impeach the system burned even stronger. Thunk. A sword fell and lodged into the ground at an angle. Sejun number 3, good job. Sejun number 3, good job, meow. Kyung. Kaying. Sejun and his companions spoke as they looked at the lone sword left behind. As time ran out, Sejun number 3 ultimately vanished. Despite making great progress through training with Bacha, he had hardly achieved anything on his own. He had merely swung his sword tirelessly. Because of that, Sejun felt heavy-hearted. He felt guilty, but at the same time he resolved to live even more diligently. As he was lost in thought and picked up the sword embedded in the ground, a quest has been generated. Quest: Sejun number 3 wished to cut through a storm with this sword. As his original self, fulfill Sejun number 3's aspiration by cutting through a storm with this sword. Reward: the enlightenment Sejun number 3 could not convey. A quest message appeared before Sejun. You want me to cut through a storm? It was a ridiculous quest. But since it was his wish, he wanted to grant it. For now, he would keep it on hold. Maybe one day, when he had truly become strong, he might be able to cut through a storm. After bidding farewell to Sejun number 3's last moments, Sejun had a simple breakfast with his companions. And then, Puhu Hut, Chairman Park, I'll go make lots of money, meow. Kyungi will go too. After sending Theo and Kyungi off to work. Summon door, let's go Blackie. Kaying. Got it. Sejun took Blackie family and moved to the 10th tower. Another day as usual. He diligently planted the Destruction Pioneers and Destruction Devourer seeds. About 2 hours later, Kagagung, the amount of energy of creation generated in the 10th tower has reached 48 million liters. The 8th floor of the 10th tower is now open. The 8th floor of the 10th tower is now activated. The 8th floor of the tower had been unlocked. Blackie, follow me. Killahit Kang. He got it. Guys, I'll tell you the rest later. After taking Blackie to the 7th floor of the tower, you have cleared the 7th floor of the 10th tower. As a clear reward for the 7th floor of the 10th tower, all stats have increased by 1,000. As a clear reward for the 7th floor of the 10th tower, you have obtained 100 billion tower coins and 1.5 trillion experience points. You have leveled up. You are now moving to the 8th floor of the 10th tower. After receiving the 7th floor clear rewards, he proceeded to the 8th floor. This time it's land again. What lay before him was a vast stretch of land. However, unlike the previous floors, there were 9 transparent crystals in the center. What is this? Tab. As Sejun placed his hand on one of the crystals, this is the position of the tower farmer of the Green Tower. A quest has been generated. Quest: the 8th floor of the 10th tower requires all tower farmers from the 9 towers to work together to solve it. Each tower farmer must place their hand on their respective crystal. Reward: unlocking the 9th floor of the 10th tower. A message appeared. So we just have to place our hands. That's easy. Tab. Sejun found his position and placed his hand on the crystal. Then you have been identified as the tower farmer of the Black Tower. The transparent crystal turned black. So this is how it works. Auric summon, Veronica summon. Sejun summoned the other tower farmers and had them place their hands on their respective crystals before sending them back. And then, only 2 left now. He had left behind Ajax and Ophelia. Ajax, Ophelia summon, move. Sejun summoned the 2 and quickly moved down to the 7th floor. Because staying together would mean death. Lately, Ajax had also been growing stronger, making it impossible for them to stay in the same place. A short while later, all tower farmers of the 9 towers have placed their hands on their respective crystals. The quest has been completed. As a quest completion reward, the 9th floor of the 10th tower has been unlocked. A quest completion message appeared before Sejun. The honorary employee of the White Tower says the job is done. Ajax had also signaled that the task was finished. All right, Ajax, good job. You guys can go back. After sending them back and returning to the 8th floor, he found that there was now only a single white crystal at the center of the floor. Tab. When Sejun placed his hand on the crystal, he received his clear rewards and was transported to the 9th floor of the tower, where yet another temple appeared. What's that? It wouldn't start moving all of a sudden, would it? The ever-cautious Sejun muttered as he carefully approached the massive statue standing at the center of the temple. At that moment, "Not worry, I cannot move." The roughly sculpted statue, which depicted a figure in prayer with both hands together, suddenly spoke. 199. Sejun, startled, froze in place. "Come closer. I am the one who verifies qualifications. If you are worthy, you will be able to ascend to the final floor of the 10th tower." The final floor. Does the 10th tower end at the 10th floor? That is correct. What happens if I don't have the qualifications? Then you simply have to leave. You're not going to kill me for failing, right? You're not suddenly going to stand up and throw a punch, are you? Sejun continued to doubt the statue. You have quite the imagination. No such thing will happen. Hardly anyone makes it this far, so killing them would be a loss for me. It's easier to just send them back and let them requalify. Are you sure? I am sure. Really? Really? Swear it on the Creator God. I swear. Only after confirming multiple times did Sejun finally approach the statue. Place your hand upon me. Okay. Tab. Following the statue's instruction, Sejun placed his hand on it. Now, I shall verify whether you have the qualifications. Light rippled across the statue's body, flowing like waves as it scanned Sejun. The light didn't just examine his physical body, it traced the entire history of his achievements. How did he even build these kinds of connections? The statue witnessed things that were simply unbelievable. Its role was to determine how much support the person could receive from other forces in the fight against destruction. Normally, just being barely tolerated by the great 9 dragons and receiving some minor favor from the gods would be enough. But what the statue had just seen, Sejun's influence was so immense that a single word from him could move entire worlds. Your affinity with the great 9 dragons is at the highest possible level. You have far exceeded the qualification requirements. Though you lack religious faith, you are deeply loved by the gods, and your affinity with them is at the highest level. You have far exceeded the qualification requirements. Sejun had overwhelmingly surpassed the required conditions. Truly remarkable. The statue, having verified Sejun's qualifications, exclaimed in admiration. Then can I go to the final floor now? Of course, Park Sejun, if not you, then who else could go? Heh, well, that's true. Sejun puffed up with pride at the statue's words. Then I shall grant you the reward for passing the qualification test and send you to the final floor. Yes. Hearing the word reward, Sejun responded enthusiastically. You have cleared the 9th floor of the 10th tower. As a clear reward for the 9th floor of the 10th tower, all stats have increased by 2,000. Moving to the 10th floor of the 10th tower. Just as he was about to ascend to the top floor of the 10th tower, Patrick, the god of Earth, urgently tells you not to go. Huh, why? Patrick, the god of Earth, says that Hamer, Stella, and himself are all inside the 10th floor of the tower. Oh, really? Then hurry up and vacate the room. Patrick was speechless at Sejun's response. Patrick, the god of Earth, says that Hamer and Stella are still working, so they can't leave right away. They're making enhancing elixirs, so I guess there's no helping it. But when did Stellanum arrive? Patrick, the god of Earth, says that Stella returned from vacation yesterday. Got it. After finishing his conversation with Patrick, Sejun muttered. But wow, I really climbed a lot today. Thinking about his own achievements, he couldn't help but admire himself. In just 1 hour, he had ascended from the 7th floor to the 9th floor. Considering that it normally took more than 10 days to unlock a single floor, this was insanely fast. Normally, the 8th floor alone should have taken several times longer, but for Sejun, progress had been exponentially faster. Sejun then returned to the 1st floor, finished planting the remaining seeds, and went back to the Black Tower for lunch. And then, while he was preparing lunch, plop, something soft and fluffy wrapped around Sejun's face. You're home early. Pew hut, that's right, meow. I made a lot of money today, so I left work early, meow, meowa. While chatting with Theo, Sejun grabbed him by the scruff of his neck, detached him from his face, and placed him on his lap. Kyueha Kyuung. Haha, Kyuungi is home too. In the meantime, Kyuungi also entered the kitchen. Theo had left work early, while Kyuungi had finished on time. In the afternoon, Sejun usually used the dimensional gate to enter Jormungandr's stomach. When hunting destruction Sejun's outside, he always needed Kyuungi's telekinesis support. You never knew when the ground might collapse again. After they all had lunch together. All right, coming a little later. Sejun left first and stepped through the dimensional gate. Lately, there had been days when no tears of destruction entered Jormungandr's stomach, but just in case, Sejun always went in first. If someone else mindlessly entered and something other than Sejun got copied, it would be a disaster. Nothing today. Unfortunately, there were no tears of destruction today. It was because Sejun had stepped outside of Jormungandr's body, and Flamey had been keeping watch. Kiki. Kiki. The destruction devourers extended leaves, filled with tears of the incomplete creator god toward Sejun. A total of 120 drops of tear of the incomplete creator god. Oh, thanks, here you go. Sejun immediately converted the tears into great growth elixir, and 3 glass bottles filled with the great growth elixir appeared. Pew Hut, Chairman Park, I missed you, meow. Kyung. Kaying. Meanwhile, Theo, Kyungi, and Blackie jumped through the dimensional gate and clung to Sejun. At that moment, meow, Chairman Park, I feel a pull, meow. Theo suddenly raised his front paw and exclaimed, "Oh, where?" Pew Hut, this way, meow. He pointed with his paw in the direction of the pull. It was a hole leading to the outside. Stepping through the hole, Pew Hut, Chairman Park, over there, meow. Theo shouted while looking at a massive tier of destruction in the distance. Chapter 632, Don't Come. Outskirts of Destruction. It's too big, Sejun muttered as he closely observed the tier of destruction that Theo was pointing at. If the tiers of destruction he usually dealt with were considered a size of 1, then this one was over 10,000. Considering the distance, it was probably even larger. On top of that, how do we even get there? The place Theo was pointing at was far away, and in between, there were numerous tiers of destruction much larger than the ones Sejun had faced before. Would it be okay? As Sejun wore a worried expression. Pew Hut. If we go there, I can teach that system bastard who tormented our Chairman Park a lesson, meow. Theo couldn't hide his joy at the thought of finally being able to punish the system. Let's start by dealing with a smaller one first. Kyungi, send me over there. When Sejun spoke, leaving his companions behind and instructing Kyungi. Kyungi used telekinesis to move Sejun toward the tier of destruction he had indicated. As he got closer, wriggle, a tier of destruction, twice the usual size, transformed into Sejun's image. Apparently, due to its inherent abilities, the destruction Sejun didn't fall. Unlike Sejun, who needed Kyungi's help. The destruction Sejun charged at Sejun, but ha, how dare you attack Master Park Sejun? Whack thud. Sejun mercilessly pummeled the destruction Sejun. And just like that, the destruction Sejun immediately became obedient. What the? Sejun felt strange seeing destruction Sejun's cowering appearance. Unknowingly, Sejun was receiving mirror therapy. Even if it's timid, it should still work well, right? Shaking off his uneasy feelings, Sejun led the cowering destruction Sejun to Jormungandr's stomach. Plop plop. Destruction Sejun planted destruction devourer seeds more skillfully than the previous destruction Sejun. Nice. Gaining confidence, Sejun then aimed for a tier of destruction 3 times the usual size. I won. Once again, he subdued it easily. From then on, Sejun gradually increased the difficulty level as he cleared a path toward the place that Theo was drawn to. And then, when he faced a destruction Sejun that had transformed from a tier of destruction 30 times the usual size. Thud thud. Huff huff, I won. Sejun was no longer able to overpower the destruction Sejun so easily. Yet once defeated, it still became docile. Don't you have an unbreakable spirit? Watching the obedient destruction Sejun reflected on himself. And then, against the 40 times size destruction Sejun. If we fought on the ground, I would have won. He lost. Whoosh. Because it had swung its hand and released an aura attack. Why can it do something even I can't? The destruction Sejun was using a skill that was of a higher level than any of Sejun's own abilities. Pew Hut, Great Hybrid Chairman Park is protected by me, Vice Chairman Theo. Kyung. Kyungi will protect Dad. Of course, thanks to Theo and Kyungi, the ultimate victor was Sejun. Unfortunately, from the 40 times size destruction Sejun onward, they could no longer capture them for farming. Their temperament became too violent, leaving no choice but to eliminate them. By directly eliminating them, no incomplete creator god's tears were produced, but advanced herbalist Park Kyungi has defeated the secretion of destruction. You have gained 40 billion experience points, 50% of the experience points advanced herbalist Park Kyungi acquired. Clink. Instead, they earned experience points and tower coins. Kilahit Kang. Hee Butler, hide behind me. Blackie stepped forward, pretending to act tough for Sejun, but his words and actions didn't match. His trembling legs and the tail tucked between them clearly showed how scared he was. Haha, you sunfish, getting scared over this. Sejun felt a surge of pride as he watched. But then a new problem arose. You have been exposed to the energy of destruction. All abilities decrease by 50%. Your life force is rapidly depleting. You will die soon. As soon as they left Jormungandr's body and entered an area without the energy of creation, they were blocked by the energy of destruction and could go no further. This made Sejun realize that traveling directly would be difficult. I can send you there. From afar, Flamey watched Sejun with a look of regret. At that moment, Piwung. Blue gas was once again released from Jormungandr's mouth and tail. And then, Kilahit Kang. Fart Captain Kabolto just farted. Ha ha ha, didn't we just move a little because of the fart? K. Kurug. Sharalang. The Blackie family didn't miss the chance to tease the youngest. And then, we moved. Hearing their conversation, a good idea struck Sejun. A little while later, Kabolto aimed properly. Loke. At Sejun's words, Jormungandr responded. Currently, Kabolto had re-entered his main body and was moving it, just enough to be effective, but not too much. If he used too much of his main body's power, he risked once again being drawn to the power of destruction and reverting to an apostle of destruction. Of course, this didn't mean that Sejun would be in danger. I just don't want to get beaten again. 119:10. Kabolto was the one at risk. Inside Kabolto's mental world, the rest of the Blackie family surrounded him. He just try to change. GRRR, Kabolto, stay focused. Karrr, you know what happens if you lose focus, right? The moment he showed even a hint of turning back into an apostle of destruction, they were ready to beat him down. It was like telling someone they could drink but not get drunk, but Kabolto had no choice but to succeed. Otherwise, he would get beaten. All right, fartship launch. Sejun shouted. Piwung. With the sound of fart Captain Kabolto's fart, Jormungandr's body began to move little by little. This time, because his mouth was closed, even the energy of creation that would have escaped through his mouth was expelled through his tail, producing an even stronger fart and generating greater propulsion. Piwu-boo-boom. Jormungandr's body advanced, farting as it went. I want to die. Whether it was fortunate or not, Kabolto felt so humiliated that the thought of desiring the power of destruction didn't cross his mind at all. Thus, carrying Sejun and his companions, Jormungandr's body leisurely drifted through the space filled with the energy of destruction. Pew Hut, Chairman Park is truly a genius, meow. We're getting closer to the pole without even moving, meow. As the distance to the gigantic tier of destruction decreased, Theo's sense of attraction grew stronger. Hugh Hut, from now on call me Genius Park Sejun. Sejun smirked proudly under Theo's admiring gaze. Chairman Park, your face is rotting, meow. Seeing Sejun's smug face, Theo hurriedly stomped on it with his golden glowing front paw. No, it's not. Yes, it is, meow. It's really rotten, meow. Kilahit Kang. That's right. Butler's face is rotting, so the great Blackie will stomp on it too. Kyungi will give Dad a massage too. As Sejun and his companions bickered, a pure white serpent glided through a crimson galaxy, leaving behind a trail of blue foam. No, Park Sejun, why does he keep getting stronger? Why is he getting stronger? System 371 couldn't understand it. Park Sejun, who had entered the tower due to a system error when the administrator of the Black Tower, the great black dragon Aileen Pratani, lost consciousness. No, why are you entering that portal? That portal was connected to the 99th floor of the Black Tower. Originally, the portal should have simply disappeared, But when Sejun jumped in, things escalated. At first, System 371 was flustered, but upon checking Sejun's pathetic talents and strength, utterly incapable of surviving on the 99th floor of the Black Tower, it quickly relaxed. It assumed Sejun would die soon and paid no further attention to him. It thought the error would vanish on its own. However, contrary to System 371's expectations, Sejun stubbornly clung to life on the 99th floor like a cockroach, and before it knew it, he began to strain the system. Causing strain on the system meant that each of his actions was affecting the world. At first, the strain was small, but it gradually grew, to the point that even System 371 could perceive it. And then, HMPH, you entered as an error. Heh, did you think you were going to get stronger this time? System 371 found amusement in subtly making Sejun's life harder, even though Sejun and Theo said they would impeach it. What, impeach me? HMPH, try it if you can. Heh, what are you going to do? System 371 wasn't afraid at all. To impeach it, they needed to access the system through one of only two system terminals. One was in the hands of the Apostles of Destruction, and the other was hidden in a place no one knew. Thus, while diligently working and occasionally messing with Sejun, System 371 began to feel something strange. Lately, things seemed more relaxed. At some point, the strain it had been receiving had decreased. But what is this? Less work is always a good thing. System 371 didn't pay much attention to it. However, it never could have imagined. What is that? System SJC. Where did that come from? Sejun Company's system, System SJC, had been handling tasks related to Sejun Company's employees in place of System 371. If it had been discovered early on, System 371 would have immediately erased it. But by the time System 371 noticed System SJC, it had already grown too large. Large enough to handle 10% of the world's system burden. There should only be one System Me. Still, since System SJC was relatively weak, System 371 intended to eliminate it, even if it meant suffering some damage. But then, why are the gods? While handling urgent matters, some of the gods affiliated with it had transferred their allegiance to System SJC, and on top of that, as the number of Sejun Company employees surged, System SJC became too powerful. Now, System SJC was handling 25% of the total system burden. At this point, even System 371 could no longer recklessly erase it. Thus, all it could do was watch as System SJC grew stronger, siphoning away its power as the number of Sejun Company employees increased. Still, I'm the main system, so my 51% share is safe. Thinking complacently, System 371 kept an eye on System SJC. Then, the system felt a chilling, golden energy brush past it. No way. Hurriedly, System 371 checked on the location of the system terminal. The one it had hidden was still secure, but no. Sejun and Theo were closing in on the system terminal held by the Apostles of Destruction. Don't come. System 371 screamed in fear, but there was nothing it could do. No, even if they have the system terminal, they can't access. Clinging to its last shred of hope, System 371 refused to give up. However, Hut, time to impeach the system bastard that tormented Chairman Park Meow. Such obstacles were meaningless before Theo, the devoted fanatic of Sejun's knee. As always. Let's call it a day. Sejun stopped moving. It was time for dinner. And so, Sejun returned to the Black Tower. Kyungi, what do you want to eat for dinner today? Kyung. I want Grandma's kimchi stew today. Oh, kimchi stew is a great choice. Wait a second, Mom's kimchi. Sejun searched for kimchi in void storage. Every time the seasons changed, Kim Dong-sik delivered Kim Mi-ran's kimchi to the first floor of the tower, and Elka and the other wolves transported it to the 99th floor. Kyungi, should we put tuna in the kimchi stew today? He thought about making tuna kimchi stew for the first time in a while, but Kyung. No, the essence of kimchi stew is meat kimchi stew. Kyungi was a purist. I was just joking. Dad was planning to use slime meat anyway. Sejun smoothly went along with it as he started cooking the kimchi stew, set the rice to cook, and grilled some fish. A little while later, guys, let's eat. Sejun called his companions to join him for dinner. Pew hut. As expected, Chairman Park's grilled fish is the best, meow. Kyung. Haha, Grandma's kimchi stew is delicious. Kilahit Kaying. Hee, butler, give me more roasted and dried sweet potato. All right, here, Kabolto, you should eat a lot too, you'll need strength for tomorrow. Yo. A somewhat peaceful dinner time. But then, crack, the black moon began to open. Chapter 633, How is this guy even alive? Sayla. From the open black moon, blood-red mist flowed out. The red mist gradually gathered and transformed into the forms of the 8 calamities. Go and destroy everything, bring destruction to the world. With a cry filled with the wrath of destruction, they disappeared into the thousands of holes that had formed before them. After the apostles of destruction disappeared, destruction came to personally take command. Once again, crisis descended upon the peaceful world. Early morning, 99th floor of the Black Tower. I'm out of seaweed. And now, there are no more blood-sucking leeches either. Sejun, who had taken out the leech seaweed to make seaweed soup for the dragons today, wore a troubled expression. On top of that, the slime meat was also running low. And there was barely any locust meat left to make the Yongari chicken that Ace liked. There are no calamities either, what should I do? While pondering, Sejun used the last remaining seaweed to make seaweed soup. Berorong. Peacebees had fallen asleep early and was snoring on Sejun's shoulder. A little while later. Aileen, here's the seaweed soup. I don't think I'll be able to make it anymore since I'm out of seaweed. Sejun said as he sent the seaweed soup to Aileen. The tower's administrator speaks in a flustered voice, saying this is a big problem. Huh, Aileen, what do you mean? Why are you so flustered? Not being able to eat seaweed soup isn't such a big deal, is it? Sejun, confused by Aileen's reaction, also became flustered. The tower's administrator says that the great green dragon Kellynim has recently become pregnant and has only been craving seaweed soup lately. What, is it like morning sickness? The tower's administrator says yes. What? Dragons really experience morning sickness. The tower's administrator says that, according to Grandpa, it is very rare, but sometimes dragons do experience morning sickness. The tower's administrator says that if there's no seaweed soup, Kellynim might have to starve continuously. Really? Then should I bring seaweed from Earth? The tower's administrator says that probably won't work. Huh, why not? It's the same seaweed, is it? The tower's administrator says that they have tasted the food you brought from Earth, and for some reason, Earth's ingredients lack the original taste and taste of magic power. Dragons could perceive not only the sweet, bitter, and other common tastes, but also the taste of magic power. That makes sense, but if there's no seaweed, what should I do? After pondering for a moment, Sejun spoke. Aileen, let's give today's seaweed soup entirely to Kellynim and explain the situation to the other dragons while offering them a different meal. It was enough seaweed soup for tens of thousands of dragons, so Kelly alone could eat it for several decades. The tower's administrator tells you not to overdo it too much. Yeah, I won't push myself too hard. Sejun took out ingredients from the void storage, baked bread, and started melting all the chocolate bricks he had. A little while later. It's done. Haha, this is the best after donating blood. Sejun looked at the round, thick choco pies coated in chocolate and spoke. Now, all that was left was to mass-produce them. Cooking. As Sejun gathered the ingredients and used his skill, the materials combined, and choco pies started being made. In an instant, Sejun had produced tens of thousands of choco pies. I should tell Theo later to ask Mudnim, the god of mud, for more chocolate bricks. He muttered while looking at the nearly empty chocolate container. And then, ears perking up. Pew hut, Helnum, please go to Mudnim and get some chocolate bricks, meow. Theo, who had been listening to Sejun's words even while sleeping, relayed the message to Hel. A designated quest has been issued from Vice Chairman Park Theo of Sejun Company. The designated target is Hel, the god of merchants. Manager Hel's pawnshop, god of merchants Hel, yes, sir. Recently under pressure to repay debts, Hel hurriedly accepted the quest. Mud, can I get 10,000 chocolate bricks? Sure, here. Thanks, Mud. I don't have any divine power right now, so can I pay with welfare points? As Hel was about to pay with divine power, she suddenly realized she had none left and hastily took out welfare points instead. The system had seized her divine power, but it hadn't taken her welfare points. No, it couldn't. That was because Sejun Company's welfare points were a currency exclusively issued by System SJC. System 371 had no authority to take them. Yes, of course you can, so these are welfare points. Mud, who received the welfare points from Hel, looked at them with an excited expression. Having repeatedly failed to win the Sejun Company full-time employee lottery, Mud had never even seen welfare points before. And so, using just one welfare point, Hel, the god of merchants, has received 5 welfare points as a quest completion reward. Hel received 5 welfare points. Haha, try taking this away too. I'll only trade with welfare points from now on. Feeling triumphant after discovering a way to keep her wealth safe from the system, Hel returned to her pawn shop. Ha, Dio, what are you doing here? There was already a customer inside the pawn shop. A tall, handsome man with long golden hair. It was Dio, the god of alcohol. Hel, I heard you've been selling alcohol to non-combat gods. Is that true? Yeah, why? Bang. When it comes to alcohol, it's us combat gods who should have it. Especially me, the great god of alcohol, Dio. Hel, sell me some samyangju. Dio, getting excited at Hel's response, slammed the wall. Crash. Of course, the wall couldn't withstand the strength of Dio, one of the 5 executives of the combat shop headquarters, and it collapsed. Dio, despite being the god of alcohol, couldn't make alcohol himself. However, because he had various powers, talents, and skills such as power, heavy drinker, which made him stronger the better the alcohol he consumed, he was always eager to acquire the finest drinks. This is for repair costs. After saying that, Dio handed divine power to Hel. But 199. No, I'm not accepting divine power anymore. What? Hel refused the divine power Dio was offering. There was no point in accepting it since it would be seized immediately anyway. If you want to trade with me from now on, bring Sejun Company's welfare points. Welfare points, what's that? Ask Battler or Bev, they'll know. So if I bring welfare points, you'll sell me samyangju. Yeah, I don't have any right now, but when I get some, I'll sell it. However, if someone else offers me more welfare points, I'll sell it to them instead. Heh, of course. All right, I don't know what these welfare points are, but I'll get them soon. Thus, with Hel, the god of merchants, declaring that she would only accept Sejun Company welfare points instead of divine power, welfare point transactions among the gods became even more active. And inevitably, that further weakened the power of System 371. Pew hut, Chairman Park, here are the chocolate bricks you mentioned earlier, meow. Theo, who had been clinging to Sejun's knee while sleeping, suddenly began pulling chocolate bricks out of his bag. Ha, Theo, you weren't asleep. Pew hut, I Vice Chairman Theo always listened to the great hybrid Chairman Park's words, even in my sleep, meow. Theo proudly answered Sejun's question with a smug expression. Our vice chairman Theo, working even in his sleep. I should give you a raise. Pew hut, of course meow. Pay me with exclusive knee rights meow. All right, I'll give you a 1-month exclusive knee rights as your salary. Pew hut sounds great meow. Now Chairman Park's knee rights will never be taken away meow. Theo felt like he had just obtained an endless treasure trove. Since we have more chocolate bricks now, I should make more choco pies. Sejun started replicating choco pies again. Gorarung. Theo fell back asleep, while Sejun was busy making a mountain of choco pies. Thud thud. Kyung. Sejun Nim, good morning. Kyeha Kyung. Hehe, Dad, good morning. Pink Fur and Kyungi, who was clinging to Pink Fur's chest, appeared together in harmony. Today, Kyungi had woken up early and hadn't arrived in Pink Fur's mouth like usual. Yeah, good morning. I made something new, try it. Sejun offered choco pies to Kyungi and Pink Fur. For Pink Fur, he handed over 100 choco pies at once. That was the amount needed for her to actually taste them. And then, Kyung. Sejun Nim, this is really delicious. Kyung. Dad is a genius. Pink Fur and Kyungi showered Sejun choco pies with praise. Hoo feels good. He heard compliments often, but no matter how many times, he never got tired of them. Pink Fur, take these and enjoy them. Feeling good, Sejun packed plenty of choco pies as snacks for Pink Fur. Kyung. Thank you, Sejun Nim. Kyeha Kyung. Hehe, Mom has a snack pouch just like Kyungi now. Pink Fur, carrying a pouch full of choco pies, went to Minotaur King. Aileen, take these. Blackie, stop sleeping and get up for breakfast. Sejun sent the choco pies he had prepared to Aileen and then woke up Blackie, who was sleeping on the bed. Killahit Kaying. Hee, butler, feed me breakfast. Blackie, reluctant to wake up, whined. All right, Blackie, if you don't get up in 3 seconds, you'll miss breakfast. 1-2. Kaying. Nuo. Of course, such tricks didn't work on Sejun. Once everyone was awake, Sejun had a simple breakfast. Theo had churu, the Blackie family had roasted and dried sweet potato, while Sejun and Kyungi had choco pies with coffee and milk. After breakfast, shall we get going? Sejun led his party, not to the 10th tower, but to Jormungandr's stomach. For the time being, he planned to focus on the giant tier of destruction that Theo had been sensing. Sejun was the first to pass through the dimensional gate, followed by his companions. Then, Cabalto to the location. Yalio. To the location. Cabalto slammed headfirst into the ground and lost consciousness, and the Blackie family, surrounding him, also banged their heads against the ground and fainted. I'll take off now. Okay. Pew bubung. The fart ship set sail again. Kyungi, that one. Kyung. As they moved, Kyungi used telekinesis to bring the tier of destruction that Sejun had pointed at closer to him. And then, wriggle. All right, guys, come on out. Sejun summoned the destruction Sejuns and put them to work. Whenever a destruction Sejun turned into an incomplete creator god's tier. Here you go. He swapped it for a growth elixir and drank it. Even though the fart ship moved all day, the distance they had to cover was vast, and they only managed to travel 1/5 of the way. It'll take another 4 days. Vice Chairman Theo, are you still feeling the pull? Pew hut, of course meow. The pull has gotten even stronger meow. Good. As Sejun patted Theo's head. Pew hut, I like this meow. Theo lifted his head high to make it easier for Sejun to pat him. While Sejun was stroking Theo's head. What would happen if I brought urine here? A sudden curiosity struck him. If he brought urine, it would either be a complete disaster or a major success. So far, Theo's luck had always been stronger, leading to major successes. But this time, the opponent wasn't easy, so he needed to be careful. Wait. What if the tier of destruction replicated Urin's misfortune as well. Huh. There couldn't be a better outcome than this. Sejun hurried back to the Black Tower, searched for Urin's whereabouts, and started preparing dinner. Then, Pio Pio. Sejun nim Theonim hello, were you looking for us? Yuehe, something smells delicious. Moihe hello. Piat, Urin, and Poyo arrived on the 99th floor of the Black Tower just in time for dinner. Urin, come with me for a moment. Huh, can I eat first? No, instead, I'll make you whatever you want to eat later. Yuehe, okay then I'll go. Sejun lured Urin in and moved to Jormungandr's stomach. Kyungi, send Urin over there. Kyung. Kyungi used telekinesis to send Urin to the area where the tears of destruction were gathered. Wriggle, wriggle. Wriggle, wriggle. The tears of destruction began replicating Urin. Then, boom quagwagwang. Some of the tears of destruction started exploding. As they attempted to replicate Urin, misfortune intervened, preventing them from even forming a complete shape before they were annihilated. As expected of the king of misfortune. Of course, even the tears of destruction that had successfully replicated Urin were immediately struck by their next misfortune. They either died from being hit by the fragments of their exploding comrades or were struck by attacks from fellow clones in the ensuing chaos. It was complete mayhem. In particular, the larger the tier of destruction, the more it seemed to amplify Urin's misfortune, causing them to perish even faster. In an instant, the surrounding area was completely cleared of the tears of destruction. Yuhe, can we eat now? Urin, seemingly unaware of what he had just done, casually asked for food. How is this guy even alive? Feeling pity for him, Sejun made everything Urin wanted to eat. Urin's very existence was a mystery. Chapter 634, Hehe. So am I finally becoming a building owner? The next morning. Ultimate weapon Urin, wait for my call. Yuehe, okay. After finishing breakfast, Sejun had Urin stay behind in the tower. He did not know what kind of unexpected variables might arise if he took him along. Urin was the fastest at handling the tears of destruction, but there was nothing left except tower coins. Since he was self-destructing due to his own misfortune, there was no experience points, and naturally, no incomplete creator god's tears. So Sejun decided to keep Urin as his trump card. Let's head out now. Yuehe, travel safely. Mohe, have a safe trip. Leaving Urin behind along with Poyo, who would manage Urin's misfortune, Sejun and his party moved toward Jormungandr's stomach. Pio, I will assist Theonim well today. Piat, who was with Theo after a long time, spoke in a voice full of enthusiasm. Puhu Hut, I'll leave it to my right front paw man then, meow. Pio Pio. Yes, just leave it to me. Piat sat on Theo's right shoulder, who was clinging to Sejun's lap, and diligently scanned the surroundings with sharp eyes. Meanwhile, Kilahit Kaying. Hihi Kabalto move out. Yisal yo. Yes. Thunk. The Blackie family began moving the fart ship. Pew bung. As the fart ship set sail. Kyungi that one. Kyung. Sejun, along with Kyungi, fished out an easy tier of destruction and turned it into a destruction Sejun. Now go to work. He had it plant the destruction devourer seeds. It was a very smooth sailing. Let's eat before we go. When lunchtime arrived, Sejun and his party returned to the tower for lunch. And even took a nap. Despite their busy schedule, the Sejun family made sure to enjoy everything. Time to go back to work. Kilahit Kaying. He butler, just trust the great boss Blackie. As Sejun and his party were about to return to Jormungandr's stomach, the administrator of the 10th tower says the 10th floor of the tower has been vacated. Patrick spoke to Sejun. Yes, Patricknam, how are you speaking to me? Since such conversations were normally impossible outside the tower, Sejun was surprised and asked Patrick. The administrator of the 10th tower says that it became possible when the 10th floor of the tower was opened. I see. Which floor will you be on? The administrator of the 10th tower says that for now, he will use the 9th floor, while Hamer and Stella plan to use the 7th floor and asks if that is okay. Those are the floors with temples. Yes, go ahead. Since he had little reason to visit the temple floors, Sejun readily agreed. But why is the administrator of the 10th tower, Patrick Nim, asking for my permission? Come to think of it, when he previously told him to vacate the room, it was strangely easy for him to say, as if he was being unusually subservient. What's going on? Sejun realized something was off. Guys, I think we need to go to the 10th tower first, summon door. He moved to the 10th tower with his companions. And then you have arrived on the 10th floor of the 10th tower. Finally, they reached the top floor of the 10th tower. As expected of the highest floor, the entire ground was covered with luxurious marble, and in the center stood a massive circular white building. Upon entering the building, "Wow, there's nothing here." Sejun spoke in a disappointed voice. Inside there was nothing but empty space. At that moment, Payet, the building transformed into a massive pillar of light, and "Welcome, one who shall become the master of the 10th tower." A being made of light appeared in front of Sejun, who was now trapped within the pillar of light. It clearly had a human shape, but it was definitely not human. Its entire body was composed of countless rays of light. Well, as he observed the being more closely, Sejun let out a gasp of awe. Inside its body, there was not only light. There were the sun, the moon, stars, black holes, and more. Inside its body, planets were continuously being destroyed and recreated. A whole universe was contained within it. It is impolite to stare at another's body so intently, one who shall become the master of the 10th tower. The being that held a universe lightly reprimanded Sejun. I'm sorry, but where did my companions go? Sejun belatedly realized that his companions, who had been by his side, had disappeared and asked. Do not worry, they are safe. I merely separated them briefly because I wish to see and speak with the one who shall become the master of the 10th tower directly. I'm going to be the master of the 10th tower, but there's already an administrator and a deputy administrator in the tower. Only after the being had referred to him as the one who shall become the master of the 10th tower, 3 times did Sejun finally ask back. That was how flustered he was. They are quite literally just the ones who manage the tower. They are not the tower's master. Is that not so? That's true. Now that he thought about it, it made sense. So that's why Patrick Nim was so subservient to me. So am I finally becoming a building owner? As Sejun grinned with excitement. It is too early to celebrate. You must pass the trial to become the master of the 10th tower. The being that held a universe poured cold water on Sejun's delusions. A trial? What kind of trial? Sejun asked in an eager voice. This is the trial. Completely caught. The being that held a universe smirked as it answered. And then, a Tower Master Quest has been generated. Tower Master Quest. If you wish to become the master of the 10th tower, prove your qualifications. Eliminate 500 billion locusts of destruction. The first calamity, 500 billion. Eliminate 50 billion giant blood-sucking leeches. The second calamity, 50 billion. Eliminate 100 billion flesh eaters. The eighth calamity, 100 billion. Reward, recognition as the master of the 10th tower. A message appeared before Sejun. The quest required him to eliminate a designated number of the 8 calamities. What kind of quest is this? Where am I supposed to kill them when there are no calamities? Still unaware that the invasion of destruction had resumed, Sejun protested to the being that held a universe. He was determined to become the master of the 10th tower and secure his status as a building owner. Do not worry, there will be more than enough calamities to hunt. More than enough. Sejun could not understand it at all, but And this is a gift for clearing the 10th tower. The being that held a universe had no intention of explaining. He would come to understand in due time. With those words, boom! Suddenly, a torrential downpour of light rained from the sky and engulfed Sejun. Sizzle! Unfathomable characters were engraved onto Sejun's irises as the light touched his eyes. It's hot! As Sejun screamed, unable to endure the burning sensation in his eyes. Clang! Chairman Park, are you okay, meow? Did you just scream, meow? A part of the pillar of light shattered, and Theo rushed out. Kyung! Kaying! Pio! Following Theo, the other companions entered through the hole he had made. And then, Great Hybrid Chairman Park, are you hurt anywhere, meow? Kyung! Dad, are you okay? Grrr Kaying! Butler, who did this? The Great Blackie will punish them. The companions hurriedly examined Sejun to check if he was injured. Vice Chairman Theo, take a look at my eyes. They felt really hot just now. As Sejun widened his eyes and spoke. Meow, understood, meow. Theo quickly leaned in to examine Sejun's eyes. But, Chairman Park, everything seems fine, meow. The letters engraved in his irises had already disappeared. Look again, it really felt like my eyes were burning. They're completely fine, meow. Chairman Park, how many paws are these, meow? 2. Pew hut, correct, meow. Chairman Park's eyes are perfectly normal, meow. Sejun's eyes were perfectly fine, and Pew hut. As expected, Chairman Park is a true master of exaggeration, meow. Theo sincerely praised Sejun's tendency to exaggerate. I'm not exaggerating. Of course, Sejun thought Theo was mocking him and got angry, but at that moment, Kilahit Kaying. Hee, that's right, the butler isn't exaggerating. Surprisingly, Blackie took Sejun's side. Kaying Kilahit. He's really in pain. The butler is like a sunfish. Even the slightest injury hurts him. Hee. It was all just a setup for teasing him. Who are you calling a sunfish, you sunfish? Kaying. Who else? You're the sunfish butler. While the two sunfish bickered over who was actually the sunfish. How did you break through my barrier? The being that held a universe, the remnant of the primordial god, looked at Theo in astonishment. Even though it was just a remnant, it was by no means weak. Not even the creator god could forcefully break through its barrier. Yet Theo had managed to break through it. What was going on? Curious, the remnant of the primordial god focused its gaze on Theo. Payet. Its golden eyes gleamed brightly. So that's what it was. After discovering the reason, the remnant of the primordial god chuckled in disbelief. How could someone possess such unshakable faith and obsession? The barrier had been broken for an utterly ridiculous reason. It seems my time is up. Then I leave the 10th tower in your hands, one who shall become its master. Huh, how can you just leave like that? Change the quest requirements before you go. Sejun desperately tried to stop the remnant of the primordial god from leaving, but my time is up, farewell. The remnant of the primordial god vanished coolly. As it disappeared, the pillar of light also faded, and Sejun and his party found themselves back inside the building. Then you have cleared the 10th floor of the 10th tower. As a reward for clearing the 10th floor of the 10th tower, all stats have increased by 3,000. As a reward for clearing the 10th floor of the 10th tower, you have acquired 500 billion tower coins and 2 trillion experience points. You have leveled up. A message confirming the 10th floor clearance appeared. And then congratulations. You have achieved a great achievement by clearing the 10th tower after conquering the 9 great towers. As a reward for this great achievement, you have obtained the title, one who has reached the summit of all towers. As a reward for this great achievement, the stay fee for the Black Tower's 0th floor has been reduced by 0.1%. By climbing the top of all 10 towers, Sejun earned the complete title one who has reached the summit of all towers. Heh, let's see how good this is. Sejun grinned as he checked the title, one who has reached the summit of all towers. A title granted only to those who have reached the top of all 10 towers. Allows instant teleportation to any tower where a waypoint is saved. Grants 10 seconds of invincibility after teleporting. Enhances the effect of title, retrogressor by 10 times. The stay fee reduction, 56.3%, now applies to all worlds connected to the towers. The biggest change was that the stay fee reduction, which had previously only applied when returning to Earth, now extended to all connected worlds. I don't even need that. Of course, for Sejun, who only needed to return home, it was a mostly useless feature. Additionally, there was no longer a need to go through the 99th floor of a tower when going to another tower, and his invincibility duration increased from 5 seconds to 10 seconds, while the retrogressor effect was amplified from 9 times to 10 times. Guys, let's go home. Having conquered the 10th tower, Sejun returned to the Black Tower. Sejunim, hello. Elka greeted Sejun, carrying something massive on his back. They were the legs of the 4th calamity, the petrifying spider. Huh, Elka, where did you get that? Sejun asked in an excited voice. The presence of a calamity's corpse meant that someone had hunted it, which in turn meant that a calamity had appeared. I can become a building owner. Heh. If I've already filled the 7th and 9th floors, I just need to fill the rest and start collecting rent. Sejun started daydreaming again, forgetting that he was the only one who could even enter the 10th tower. Chapter 635. We also wanted to try it. 99th floor of the Black Tower. What? A new world has been connected to the Black Tower. Yes, and this petrifying spider was brought from that world. The name of that world was by something. As Elka tried to recall the name of the world that had slipped his memory, the tower's administrator says it is a world called Bix. Aileen answered in place of Elka. Really? When was it connected? The tower's administrator says it was connected 3 hours ago and that it's a level 8 world. Level 8, that's quite high. Well, that made sense. Being a level 8 world, they could quickly capture these petrifying spiders. For reference, the higher the level of a world, the greater the weight that can be brought into the tower. But why did you bring this? Sejun asked Elka. While it was useful, there was no particular reason for Elka to bring it to him. We also wanted to try it. Elka answered Sejun's question with a slightly resentful voice. They had heard plenty of rumors about delicious food being eaten, yet they had never been invited, which made them feel left out, especially when they hadn't been invited while taking care of the children. I'm sorry. Sejun's conscience pricked at Elka's words. A little while later, the other wolves appeared, carrying the 1st to the 5th calamities on their backs. Just wait a little. Sejun quickly began cooking with the calamities the wolves had brought. With locusts, he made fried chicken, chicken stew, and spicy braised chicken. With the giant blood-sucking leeches, he made seaweed soup. With fire moths, he prepared spicy squid salad, deep-fried squid, and raw squid in cold broth. As for the petrifying spider, whose body and legs had different flavors, he made steamed king crab legs with the legs and butter-grilled lobster with the body. With slime meat, he cooked stir-fried spicy pork, sweet and sour pork, and pork kimchi stew. Thanks to that, dinner became a grand feast. Let's eat. Sejunum, this is truly delicious. Watching the wolves enjoy their meal, Sejun felt slightly less guilty toward them. Once dinner was over, Sejunum will be heading off now. The wolves packed up the remaining food and prepared to leave. Why, stay and have breakfast tomorrow before you go. Sejun tried to stop them, but no, we should get going now. Our families are waiting. The wolves hurried down the tower, imagining their families enjoying the food they had brought. Once all the wolves who had filled the farm had left, an unexpected emptiness filled the surroundings. Pew hut, Chairman Park, if you have nothing to do, rub my belly, meow. Kyung. Kyungi wants to do a butt dance with Dad. Kilahit Kaying. Hee butler, wanna hear what the great Blackie did today. Of course, thanks to the companions, that empty feeling disappeared in no time. As he spent time with them, the hours flew by. Gororong. Kirorong. Kirorong. His companions fell asleep. Sejun also wanted to sleep, but he had something to do. Pinkfur here. First, he sent Kyungi to Pinkfur. Aileen, are you awake? He called out to Aileen. The tower's administrator says she's not sleeping in a sleepy voice. Oh, you were sleeping. The tower's administrator vigorously shakes her head, saying no. A strong denial is an affirmation. However, really, then shall we have a chat after a long time? Sejun decided to take Aileen's words at face value. They didn't often get a chance to talk one-on-one. Hehe, Aileen, when I become a landlord, I'll buy you delicious food every day. The tower's administrator says that's fine. The tower's administrator says that the food you make is the most delicious for her. Really? Then what do you want to eat for breakfast tomorrow? Feeling pleased by Aileen's words, Sejun asked. The tower's administrator shouts in an excited voice that it must be meat. Hehe, all right, I'll cook some meat dishes tomorrow. The tower's administrator says she's very happy. Me too, Aileen, but I should also make Ace's favorite Yongari chicken, right? Their light-hearted, yet enjoyable conversation continued as the night deepened. Theo's mental world. Puhuhut line up meow. At Theo's shout, which came from where he clung to the knee of the super giant Chairman Park No. 2, the non-combat gods formed a line. Stamp, stamp. They pressed their seals onto the contract that Theo held out. I've finally joined the don't ask, don't question, just trust in Park's company. Now we're officially employees of Sejun Company. As the non-combat gods stamped their contracts and were overwhelmed with emotion. So you're that guy called Vice Chairman Theo. Dio, the god of alcohol, suddenly appeared and attacked Theo without warning. Dio had previously asked Bev and Battler how to earn welfare points. Oh, welfare points. You can get them by fighting and defeating that guy called Vice Chairman Theo. Really? So I get welfare points every time I win? What? Puahaha. If you beat him just once, Vice Chairman Theo will give you welfare points whenever you need them. Well, that's convenient. Where do I find him? Hehe, just head that way. Knowing that Dio would never sign an official employment contract with Sejun Company, Bev and Battler tricked him into going to Theo instead. And so the battle began. Quaying. Dio was sent flying, crashing into the ground after taking a powerful punch from the super giant Chairman Park No. 2. HMPH not bad. Gulp gulp. To erase the pain, Dio hurriedly chugged an entire bottle of liquor. You've drunk 100-year-aged whiskey. Power Heavy Drinker is activated, increasing all stats by 30%. Due to talent, Alcoholic, all abilities increase by 10%, and pain resistance is significantly boosted. Skill Drunken Fist Master is activated, making your body more flexible and enhancing evasion skills. With his power, talent, and skills related to alcohol, Dio's combat strength skyrocketed. All right, here I go. Dio charged in again. Quaying. Of course, the result was the same. Puhuhut welcome meow. Stamp. Theo pressed Dio's unconscious thumb onto the contract in the employee section. Then, by the way, what's this god's name, meow? He is Dio, the god of alcohol. Puhuhut, it's complete, meow. By asking another god for his name, Theo completed the contract. With this, 3 out of the 5 high-ranking executives of the combat shop headquarters had become official employees of Sejun Company. For reference, none of the 4 high-ranking executives of the Siege shop headquarters had joined Sejun Company yet. They had lost the employee lottery. Puhuhut, press your thumbprint here, meow. Anyway, with the number of employed gods increasing once again today, Sejun Company's influence continued to grow. and so did the abilities of System SJC. The next morning, I should head to Bix first, right? Sejun prepared to leave for the first floor of the tower. He felt reluctant to ignore the pull Theo sensed, but he couldn't just stand by and let Bix be destroyed either. According to Elka, ogres and planet-destroying turtles had been sighted in Bix. Although the residents of Bix in Level 8 world were strong, they were not powerful enough to handle the 6th calamity, the ogre, or the 7th calamity, the planet-destroying turtle. The fact that Bachai, who was from a Level 7 world, had fought an ogre was simply because Bachai was exceptionally strong. Bachai, the hero of Hamk. The title of hero was not something just anyone could obtain. Many worlds didn't even have a single hero. While Sejun was packing his belongings, Pew Hu Hut, I'll bring Chairman Park's crops to sell, meow. Kuehe Kuang. Hehe, Kuangi is stocking up his snack pouch. Theo and Kuangi also gathered their things. Kilahit Kaying. Hee, nice, now no one will know, right? Meanwhile, the Blackie family secretly moved their food storage to a new location before their departure. A little while later, Vice Chairman, you need to come out right away, got it? Pew Hu Hut, got it, meow. After warning Theo, Sejun moved to the first floor of the tower. You have arrived at the first floor of the Black Tower. As soon as Sejun arrived on the first floor, clank, he opened his void storage. Pew Hu Hut, I missed you, Great Hybrid Chairman Park, meow. Theo shot out like a bullet and clung to Sejun's knee. Then he fully activated his talent, Energy Absorber. If he didn't, the sheer force of Sejun's presence alone could endanger the residents of the tower's first floor. In the 99th floor of the Black Tower, Sejun might be considered weak, but at the level of the first floor, his mere existence was a calamity. Thanks to Theo, Sejun was able to prevent causing unnecessary harm to his surroundings. He immediately made his way to the exclusive passage and placed his hand on the black hole that led to other worlds. Then there are 3 destinations available. Please select your destination. Earth LV 1, Hamk LV 7, Bix LV 8. A message appeared before Sejun. Earth. Sejun selected Earth. He wasn't planning to go there just yet. He just wanted to check the current stay fee. Since the cost had been reduced by nearly half, it should be much cheaper now, right? Sejun was hopeful. However, 3,000 quadrillion per hour. The stay fee had increased 10 times compared to before. No, if he factored in the halved cost, it had actually increased 20 times. This was due to multiple reasons. First, the Blackie family, who had previously hidden inside Blackie's fur to evade the cost, could no longer do so after consuming the Great Growth Elixir, which had significantly increased their stats. Second, Sejun and his companions had become far too powerful, or rather, his companions had. While Sejun himself had grown significantly stronger, his contribution to the 3,000 quadrillion stay fee was less than 1%. I'm strong too. Thanks to this realization, Sejun was hit hard with reality shock. After a brief moment, Bix. Sejun shook off his thoughts, placed his hand back on the exclusive passage, and selected his destination. There are currently 15 individuals attempting to use the exclusive passage. Would you like to pay the stay fee for all 15 and travel to Bix? Yes. Since Bix was 7 levels higher than Earth, the stay fee was 1/10,000,000th of Earth's, a mere 300 billion tower coins. With your current funds, you can stay for over 100 days. Transferring to Bix. With that message, Sejun and his companions were transported to Bix. Hugh, what a relief. At least he won't come back for a while. System 371 sighed in relief as it sent a message to Sejun, who was leaving the tower. However, I bought myself some time. But what do I do now? Worry started creeping in again. Once Sejun returned, he would inevitably obtain a system access device. And when that happened, I'd be impeached. It had hoped to prevent system access, but considering Theo's incomprehensible luck and the growth of System SJC. It seemed like only a matter of time before he broke through. Should I try to stay on his good side now? But I still have my pride, to grovel before some error. System 371 fell deep into thought. A moment later. No, I've decided. Does pride put food on the table? System 371 decided to swallow its pride. You have arrived in Bix. Arrived in Bix. TL. Well, as you know, English doesn't have an honorific system, so it is harder to convey in English, but the system is being overly polite in the message. You can think of it as like the system is adding "sir" at the end of the message. What's this? Sejun was slightly taken aback by the sudden appearance of an extremely polite system message. As he looked around, Kwang, a massive fortress wall stood in the distance, barely holding up against the attacks of two ogres. Theo, take care of that first. Puhut understood. Meow. Bang bang. The moment he finished speaking, Theo appeared behind the ogres and smacked them on the backs of their heads. Puhut, Chairman Park, it's all cleaned up. Meow. Good job. In an instant, Theo was back on Sejun's knee. All right, everyone, let's go. Sejun led his companions toward the fortress wall and then spoke to the defenders. I'll take you to your king, come this way. He placed his hand on the unconscious ogres, summoning the battle aura residing in their bodies. As soon as Sejun absorbed the battle aura, thud, Theo immediately finished off the ogres. At that moment, how absolutely splendid that you receive half the experience points from the 6th Calamity Ogre, killed by Black Tower's lucky legendary merchant Park Theo, without lifting a finger. You have gained 250 billion experience points. TL, again in polite tone. A message popped up in front of Sejun. What the hell? Is it mocking me for getting free experience without doing anything? Sejun felt irritated by System 371's so-called compliment. Chapter 636. Oh my, our Blackie's face has gotten quite ugly. Temple of the Creator God. SHRRRK. The Creator God was once again combining beads to complete the picture. At that moment, the Creator God was startled upon seeing the picture that was almost 80% complete. The picture contained an image of himself. He was depicted in a competition against the next Creator God, racing to see who could complete their puzzle first. It was undoubtedly an important memory. But this I lost here. Seeing the picture, the Creator God recalled the outcome from that time. He had won, then why? The Creator God could not understand. What was the message behind this? The next Creator God's intentions were unclear just from the picture alone. However, one thing was certain. This memory, this event seemed to have had a tremendous impact on the next Creator God's corruption. Bix. Puhut, Chairman Park will be back soon. Meow. Kyungi will be back soon. As soon as Theo and Kyungi finished speaking. Boom boom. Explosions rang out from the formation of calamities, charging toward the city walls. In an instant, the two reached the enemy's ranks and began dealing with them. Follow Theonim. Follow Kyungi-nim. Even the citizens of the city-state of Mepal threw open the gates and rushed forward. Just moments ago, the two ogres Theo had taken down had been attacking Mepal's walls. Sejun and his group, after defeating the ogres, had been welcomed and treated with the utmost hospitality by Mepal's king, Messias. But then, 5 more ogres had marched toward Mepal, leading more calamities, prompting Theo and Kyungi to step forward to handle them. This place, Bix, had no large nations and was mostly composed of city-states. Kilahit Kaying. Hee, follow great boss Blackie. Blackie, excitedly playing leader, followed the citizens of Mepal. A little while later, once again, without lifting a single finger, you have effortlessly received half of the experience points from Black Tower's lucky legendary merchant Park Theo and advanced herbalist Park Kyungi's kills. Truly remarkable. In total, you have gained 531.2 billion and 31.71 million experience points. Once again, System 371 irritated Sejun. By now, my favorability should be skyrocketing, right? I don't need to worry about impeachment anymore, do I? Unaware that Sejun's hostility toward it was growing, the system was simply pleased with itself. You guys did well. Now let's load them into the void storage. Hut got it, meow. Kyung. Sejun and his group collected the corpses of the calamities and returned to Mepal. And then, Messias Nim, would you like to purchase the Calamity Extermination package? Hut, if you have any shame, you should buy it, meow. Kyung. Heh, everything Dad sells is good. If you don't buy it, Kyungi will get mad. They officially started their sales pitch. The first calamity, the locust swarm, could be countered with sturdy blade green onions and detoxifying green onions. The second calamity, the giant blood-sucking leech, could be dealt with using grape wine made from vitality-infused fragrant grapes. For the third calamity, the fire moth, the solution was sticky corn. Unfortunately, there were no counter-crops for the fourth calamity, the petrifying spider, or the fifth calamity, the slime. Instead, they suggested using triple-ripened pineapples and scorching cherry as makeshift bombs. Of course, the level 8 world residents of Bix were capable of handling the fifth calamity, but the issue was their sheer numbers. Even now, the calamities were devouring everything edible in Bix and multiplying rapidly. Very well, I will purchase everything. Whether it was because of Sejun's persuasion or Theo and Kyungi's intimidation, Messias agreed without a second thought. After selling the crops necessary for eliminating the calamities to Messias. All right, now I'm selling food. Sejun began preparing and selling dishes to the citizens of Mepal. And Hut, by the great Chairman Park's cooking, meow. Kyung. Heh, Dad's cooking is delicious. Theo and Kyungi were helping Sejun attract customers. Grrrking. Grrr. If you buy the roasted and dried sweet potatoes, Great Blackie won't stand for it. On the other hand, the Blackie family was growling at any customers who even approached the roasted and dried sweet potatoes, preventing them from making a purchase. I'll take this braised spicy chicken, please. The minimum price for dishes made from the first calamity, the locust swarm, starts at 10,000 tower coins. They have stat-boosting effects. What? That's way too expensive. Hawk, our great hybrid Chairman Park's food prices are extremely reasonable, meow. Buy quickly, meow. All right, I'll take it. There was a bit of intimidation involved, but in the end, Sejun made money. The citizens of Mepal became safer from the calamities, and they got stronger, a win-win for everyone. As Sejun continued selling the Calamity Extermination package and calamity-based dishes in the city-state of Mepal, the sky darkened. Sejun and his companions then retired to the rooms provided by Messias, lying on their beds, preparing for round 2. Blackie's mental world. Guys, take this and forgive my guys, okay? Sejun distributed roasted and dried sweet potatoes to the souls emerging from the world's energy, seeking forgiveness for the Blackie family. I'm really sorry. We're sorry. The Blackie family also followed behind Sejun, offering their sincere apologies. Hut, please forgive us after eating the grilled fish personally cooked by our great hybrid Chairman Park, meow. Eat this honey and forgive us. Theo and Kyungi also assisted Sejun in seeking forgiveness for the Blackie family. We forgive you, but could I have one more of those? I forgive you too. I'd like one more grilled fish. Thanks to Sejun and his party's efforts, the souls forgave the Blackie family. The corruption energy lingering in the souls began to dissipate under Sejun's gaze and vanished. At that moment, Gyuraruk, a single corruption energy, did not disappear under Sejun's gaze and instead began to take form. However, flash, as Sejun's pupils glowed intensely in golden light. Whoosh. Kaira, letting out nothing but a scream of agony as its body burned. The corrupted thought was completely obliterated. Unlike before, Sejun had now gained the ability to erase even powerful corrupted thoughts. It was a gift from the lingering will of the Creator God. Haha, acting all tough. Feeling proud after eliminating the corruption, Sejun smirked. Meow. Normally, Theo would have immediately pounced on Sejun, saying his face had gotten ugly again. But this time, Theo simply stared at him in a daze. Chairman Park looks so cool, meow. Was it that Sejun had actually become cool, or had Theo's standards dropped? It was hard to tell. While Sejun and his party continued apologizing to the souls, now free from the threat of corruption. Kur, Gororong, Kurorong, Kekirorong, Krieg. The door to the room where Sejun and his party were sleeping opened cautiously. And then, Your Majesty, they are all asleep. King Messias of the city-state of Mepal, along with his subordinates, carefully entered the room. Good, they're definitely asleep, right? Yes, we have released a large amount of sleep-inducing agents, strong enough to put even giant beasts to sleep. They won't wake up for days. Excellent. Begin preparations for the master-servant contract magic. Yes, sir. Messias intended to cast a master-servant contract spell on Theo and Kyungi to make them his subordinates. To maintain his power and protect Mepal, he had deliberately treated Sejun and his party with the utmost hospitality to lower their guard. However, there was something Messias had overlooked. Daytime words are heard by Theo, and nighttime words are heard by Peacebees. Pip Pip, who are you? Did I just hear something about forming a master-servant contract with our Sejun Nim? Peacebees, who had been standing guard near Sejun, turned to Messias and questioned him. There's nothing you need to know. Restrain it quietly. Messias dismissed Peacebees, thinking he looked weak and unthreatening. Yes, wind press. Paralyze. Slow. Following Messias' orders, the mages cast their spells on Peacebees. However, Peacebee's skin was that of the great golden dragon, granting it immense magic resistance. The spells had no effect whatsoever. And then, pip smash, Peacebee's counterattack. Thud, thud, thud. With a single body slam from Peacebees, everyone was knocked unconscious. Pip Pip, now I need to stamp them. I've really wanted to do this, Pafihi. Peacebees eagerly stamped its paw print onto the foreheads of Messias and his subordinates. Of course, it had no effect. The next morning, Ulrigha. As soon as Sejun woke up, he saw Messias and his subordinates tied up, dozing off. Why are these people? While Sejun was wondering. Pip Pip, Sejun Nim, these guys tried to put a master-servant contract on you. They're bad people. A master-servant contract. They tried to enslave me. Sejun was furious after hearing Peacebee's words. To be fair, Messias felt slightly wronged in this situation. The master-servant contract required an enormous amount of resources, so Sejun and the Blackie family, whom they could easily suppress, had never been his focus. A little while later. Hawk, 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 how dare you try to make our great hybrid Chairman Park a slave? Unforgivable, meow. Theo expressed his anger with a 3-stage hawk and stamp, stamp, stamp. He stamped Messias and his subordinates' foreheads. And just like that, Messias and his men became full-time employees of Sejun Company. You all will be the eternal rookies, meow. Theo added an extra punishment, eternal rookie status. Apparently, attempting to make Sejun a slave enraged him more than just trying to kill him. Vice Chairman Theo, that's too harsh. Really, meow. Then they can be rookies for just 100 years, meow. Thanks to Sejun's intervention, their rookie period was reduced from eternity to 100 years. Now that Messias had officially become a Sejun Company employee. Pew Hut, Messias, take us to your treasure vault, meow. Yes. Theo proudly raided Messias' assets. Heh, let's see what we've got here. Pew Hut, Chairman Park, let's take everything valuable, meow. Of course. Thanks to this, Sejun's family extended their stay in Bix by a week. 5 days later. Once we take care of these, we're done, right? Sejun asked, looking at 3 planet-destroying turtles in the distance. Puhu Hut, looks like it, meow. Kyungi, go bring them here, meow. Kyung. Kyungi flew toward the planet-destroying turtles. Shrink. Shrink. The planet-destroying turtles hurriedly shrank themselves and started groveling before Kyungi, the beast of apocalypse. Once the battle was over. Kilahit Kaying. Hee, it's all thanks to the great Blackie. Blackie was puffing up with pride. Oh my, our Blackie's face has gotten quite ugly. Sejun teased as he kneaded Blackie's chubby cheeks. Kaying. No, great Blackie's face is not ugly. Blackie barked insistently in protest. A little while later. All right, let's head back. Sejun gathered his companions and returned to the Black Tower. You have arrived at the 99th floor of the Black Tower. There were fewer calamities than I expected. He had only filled half of his void storage. I want to become a landlord quickly. Sejun was frustrated that he hadn't been able to eliminate more calamities. Aileen, I'm back. He informed Aileen of his return. The tower's administrator says she's relieved that you have returned safely. The tower's administrator says you did well and that the other leaders are waiting for you. The tower's administrator says they'll come to see you soon. While Sejun was talking with Aileen. Flap. The dragons of the 4 Dragons Council and 5 Dragons Council flew towards Sejun. And then, Sejun, hurry over. Would you mind coming to our Golden Tower for a moment to deal with some calamities? Red Tower needs help too. White Tower as well. The great dragons were asking Sejun to handle the calamities that had invaded the worlds connected to their towers. Without Sejun's help, it would take far longer to deal with the calamities, and ultimately the probability of destruction was high. Of course, I should definitely take care of it for you. Fortunately, it seemed there were still plenty of calamities left to handle. Chapter 637, Blackie, starting today, you're on a diet. Early morning, on the 99th floor of the Black Tower. All right. As Sejun stretched energetically and got up. Flap. Pip, Sejunum, did you sleep well? Peacebees hurriedly flew over. Yeah, what were you up to, Peacebees? Pip, I soaked the seaweed. What, really? I completely forgot about it, KRR. As expected, there's no one like my Peacebees. Sejun exaggerated his reaction and praised Peacebees. At Sejun's compliment, Peacebees beamed and perched on Sejun's palm. Sejun stroked Peacebees' head. Berarong. Peacebees quickly fell asleep under Sejun's touch. Thanks to my Peacebees, I've gained some time. I should check on the pool. Meow. Sejun took Theo and moved to Jormungandr's stomach to check with his own eyes that the giant tear of destruction was still there. And then, Vice Chairman Theo, how is it? He grabbed Theo's front paw and stretched it toward the giant tear of destruction as he asked. Puhu Hut, the pull feels strong, meow. Once Theo's crosscheck was complete, Sejun returned to the Black Tower, prepared seaweed soup, and started getting breakfast ready. A little later, Aileen, here's the seaweed soup. Sejun sent the seaweed soup to Aileen. The tower's administrator asks if there are any choco pies. Choco pie, aren't there still plenty left? With 10,000 chocolate bricks, he had made millions of choco pies. Since cooking replication only required ingredients and magic power, Sejun practically had factory-level manufacturing capabilities. The tower's administrator says there are less than 10,000 choco pies left. What? They already ate that much. According to Aileen, choco pies were incredibly popular. So much so that dragons were donating blood and scales multiple times a day just to eat more, to the point that many of them were weak and groaning. No way, you reckless dragons. How much blood and how many scales did you donate to end up groaning like that? Sejun was shocked by Aileen's words. Aileen, from now on, limit blood and scale donations to once per day, no exceptions. Also, send some seaweed soup to the dragons that are groaning. The tower's administrator says she understands. After hurriedly instructing Aileen, Vice Chairman Theo, I need 10,000 chocolate bricks. Hut got it, meow. Helnim, please get me 10,000 chocolate bricks, meow. At Sejun's request, Theo asked Hel, and Hel quickly found mud and purchased 10,000 chocolate bricks. Hel, the god of merchants, has received 5 welfare points as a quest completion reward. Vice Chairman Theo, thanks. Having earned 4 welfare points with minimal effort, Hel expressed gratitude to Theo. Hut, Chairman Park, here you go, meow. Thanks. Hut, if you're grateful, hurry and rub my belly, meow. As soon as Sejun spoke, Theo flopped over, exposing his belly. All right. Sejun set the chocolate bricks to melt in a double boiler and began rubbing Theo's belly. And then, Kilahit Kaying. Butler, do me next. Blackie also flopped over in front of Sejun, waiting for his turn. But, wow, Blackie, look at your belly. You need to go on a diet. From now on, let's cut back on the roasted and dried sweet potatoes. That gave Sejun the perfect excuse to reduce Blackie's supply of roasted and dried sweet potatoes. Kaying. What are you saying? A diet? The great Blackianum does not need a diet. Nope, your belly fat is this thick when I grab it. As Sejun grabbed Blackie's belly fat, which was as thick as 2 fingers. Kaying. That's not belly fat, it's the great Blackie's dignity. Not dignity, just fat. Blackie, starting today, you're on a diet. Kaying. Nuo. At Sejun's words, Blackie clutched his face with his tiny front paws and let out a wail. Kiog, too cute. Seeing Blackie like that, Sejun's resolve wavered. Let's try adjusting things with exercise first, rather than changing the diet. He decided not to reduce the amount of roasted and dried sweet potatoes. And then, Kilahit Kaying. Did you see that? The great Blackie has swayed the butler's heart. As expected of the great Blackie in him. Kurug. Sharalang. Once again, Blackie received the praise of his subordinates for yet another trivial achievement. Hut. Kilahit. As Sejun relaxed, stroking both Theo and Blackie's bellies, the chocolate melted. He then baked bread and made choco pies. And then, cooking, while Sejun was producing choco pies. Thud. Kuong. Sejunum, good morning. Good morning to you too, Pinkfur. Pinkfur appeared, holding Kyungi in his mouth. Kuong. Please take care of Kyungi. Pinkfur handed Kyungi over to Sejun. Sure. Sejun took Kyungi and held him at his side, and Kyungi clung to Sejun's side. Gulp. Meanwhile, Pinkfur, staring at Sejun, swallowed her saliva more precisely. She couldn't take her eyes off the pile of choco pies beside Sejun. Would you like some? Kyung. At Sejun's question, Pinkfur eagerly nodded and held out her massive snack pouch. Here you go. Sejun filled Pinkfur's snack pouch with choco pies and handed it back. Kyung. Sejunum, thank you, I'll enjoy these. Pinkfur cradled her snack pouch like a treasure, her face glowing with joy. At that moment, Kyung. That looks delicious. Kyungi, now awake, stared at Pinkfur's snack pouch, drooling. Kyungi, here, eat this. Sejun placed a choco pie in Kyungi's mouth, ensuring that Pinkfur's snack pouch remained safe. Kyung. Haha, it's delicious. Kyungi happily munched on the choco pie. Meanwhile, Pinkfur quietly disappeared without a word. A little while later. After breakfast. All right, let's head out. Sejun prepared to leave. His destination, Avian, a level 3 world connected to the White Tower. The White Tower was first on the list because Sejun only had saved waypoint locations for the first floors of the White Tower and the Green Tower. Additionally, Sejun owed a lot to Kellyan, so he decided to visit the White Tower first. Next was Migros, a level 6 world connected to the Green Tower. The other towers would be visited based on the order in which he obtained the first-floor land deeds. Upon arriving on the first floor of the White Tower, Sejun used the exclusive passage. For reference, the Great Dragons had agreed to cover his travel allowance and accommodation costs, so all Sejun had to do was take care of the calamities and return. Haha, this feels just like I'm going on a vacation at the company's expense. It was as if he had planned a trip, and his company sent him on a business trip to the same place. Tab. With a joyful heart, Sejun placed his hand on the exclusive passage. A moment later, you have arrived at Avian. Sejun arrived in Avian. This place. It's a desert. The surroundings were covered in sand. Whoosh. At that moment, the wind carried sand into Sejun's mouth. Tui tui tui. Sejun hurriedly spat out the sand that had entered his mouth. Not a good start. 119:15. Sejun had a bad feeling. Then, Kueha Kuang. Hehe, Kuangi will protect Dad from eating sand. Whoosh. Kuangi created a downward-blowing wind, like an air curtain, to block the sandstorm. Kuangi, you can control wind too. Kueha Kuang. Hehe, Kuangi ate Windran and can use wind now. What? He could use the wind attribute after eating Windran. Then, did that mean he could also use Nekma's poison and Ratan's lightning attributes? As expected, my son is a genius. Sejun praised Kuangi. A slight sense of jealousy arose, but as the saying goes, if a crotit walks like a stork, it will break its legs. TL note. It's a Korean proverb meaning something like if you overdo something or try to imitate someone better than you to make yourself look more better than you are, you will just bring more hardship upon yourself. So he simply accepted it. If he had eaten them himself, he wouldn't even be here right now. All right, time to get to work. Thanks to Kuangi's wind, Sejun no longer had to eat sand as he and his party moved forward in search of the calamities. At that moment, stop right there. Hand over everything you have. From afar, a group of mounted bandits charged towards Sejun and his party. Whether it was Sejun's bad luck or Theo's good fortune, these bandits had chosen to block their path. Badin, hero of Avian, the brilliant star of the desert. A hero. Leading these bandits was none other than Avian's hero. And then a quest has been generated. Quest Badin, hero of Avian, the brilliant star of the desert, has yet to come to his senses and continues to cause havoc as a bandit. Teach Badin a lesson. Reward all stats plus 100. If you complete the quest within 10 minutes, your reward will be doubled. As usual, you can quickly complete this quest with the help of Park Theo, the Black Tower's lucky legendary merchant, and advanced herbalist Park Kuangi. A quest notification appeared before Sejun. System 371 had added a time limit to increase the quest reward by twofold, all in an effort to impress Sejun. It even suggested he seek help from Theo and Kuangi. However, are you seriously looking down on me? Constantly saying he doesn't lift a finger, telling him to get help, Sejun felt unnecessarily offended and, I can handle a level 3 world hero on my own. After all, he was the disciple of Master Bo, the hero of the level 7 world Hank. Sejun's rebellious spirit flared up, and he decided to take matters into his own hands. At worst, he had dragon scales power, strong body and power, extra life, so he wasn't worried about dying. Guys, I'll take care of the boss. Hut got it, meow. Kuang. Understood. His companions weren't particularly worried either. Kilahut Kaying. Hee butler, just say the word if it gets tough. Great Blackie will help. Only Blackie seemed to be eagerly anticipating Sejun getting beaten up. Here I go. With a battle cry, Sejun charged straight at Badin. Boom. Gook. Badin took a punch straight to the face and was thrown off his horse, tumbling across the ground. But, you bastard! The impact didn't seem too severe, as Baden immediately got up and charged at Sejun. Boom kaboom! Sejun and Baden relentlessly swung their fists at each other, exchanging blows. Sejun had far superior physical abilities, but Baden made up for it with his combat skills. Neither side was gaining the upper hand. However, thud, he. Baden started to recognize Sejun's simple attack patterns, gradually putting Sejun at a disadvantage. Pew hut, Chairman Park, I'm back, meow. Kyungi is back too. Fortunately, Theo and Kyungi, having defeated the other bandits, returned just in time, turning the tide. Thud thud. As attacks came towards Sejun, Theo and Kyungi moved along his body, taking the hits for him. KRGH. Each time Baden struck them, he ended up in pain instead. A moment later. Wham! Sejun landed a punch to Baden's stomach, bringing the fight to an end. Guh, you cowardly! Baden wore a frustrated expression, clearly feeling wronged. But, Pew hut, this isn't cowardly, meow, we are one, meow. Kyung. That's right, we are one. For Theo and Kyungi, who had been educated by Sejun, fighting this way was only natural. Hehe, the loser sure talks a lot. Thwack! Sejun landed another punch on the back of Baden's head, knocking him out. Hef, I won. Feeling proud of himself for winning mostly on his own, Sejun wore a smug expression. Pew hut. Stamp. Meanwhile, Theo stamped Baden, officially making him a full-time employee. You have completed the quest. As a reward, all stats have increased by 100. You exceeded the time limit and did not receive the doubled reward. The quest completion message appeared. If things had ended there, Sejun would have been in a good mood and let it slide, but next time please make sure to seek assistance from Park Theo, the Black Tower's lucky legendary merchant, and advanced herbalist Park Kyungi instead of fighting alone. System 371 just had to add an extra remark, ruining Sejun's mood. Why did it even add an exclamation mark to make sure? Once again, Sejun's lickability of the system worsened. Chapter 638, is that something to be proud of? Black Tower, 99th floor. Black Parkei Wizard Tower, Master's Chamber. Kaiwat. From now on, Black Parkei Wizard Tower's master is Blackster. Yona, having completed the handover to Blackster, spoke in an extremely bright voice. Blackster, who had exceptional talent in magic, had significantly improved his skills while carrying out the tasks assigned by Yona. Kaiwat, I found a successor. Kaiwat. Blackster, within a month you'll become the tower master. Me, Kaiwat, yes, just accept it as it is. Yona had forcibly enhanced Blackster's magic skills, grooming him as her successor to take over as the Wizard Tower Master. Finally, Iona was free from simultaneously serving as both the chairman of the Wizards Association and the Black Parkei Wizard Tower. In her current mood, she felt she could smile through any insult thrown her way. Of course, the consequences of actually insulting her would be the insulter's responsibility. But where there is light, there is also darkness. I'll do my best. Unlike Yona, Blackster's voice was extremely gloomy. It was only natural. Things were already tough for him, and becoming the Wizard Tower Master would make them several times harder. Blackster, who had been assisting Yona, knew all too well just how much work the Wizard Tower Master had to do. Why is my talent so exceptional? While for some, becoming the Wizard Tower Master might be a dream come true. I already only sleep 10 hours every 3 days. Will I even be able to sleep in the future? For Blackster, actually becoming the Wizard Tower Master brought no joy at all. Kaiwat, then good luck. With that, Iona left Blackster stuck in the tower and cheerfully departed. Now I have more time to be with Theonim. Eager to share this joyous news, she immediately went to find Theo. However, Kaiwo Theonim isn't here. Theo was not in the Black Tower. Kaiwo searching. He must be near Sejunum. Hurriedly, Yona focused her mind and searched for Sejun's void storage. Using his void storage as a medium for dimensional teleportation minimized magic consumption while greatly increasing spell stability. Moments later, found him. Kaiwat, 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 gate of dimensions open. Yona cast a dimensional teleportation spell and disappeared from the Black Tower's 99th floor. Avian. Guys, it's time for dinner. Tonight's dinner is fried squid. Thud. As Sejun placed a massive plate of fried squid at the center of the table. Kyung. Kyungi wiggled his hips in a celebratory dance, raising his arms in excitement. You all come eat too. Yes. Thank you. At Sejun's call, Baden and his subordinates, who had been hesitating at a distance, reluctantly took their seats. They had been anxiously watching Sejun cook with the fire moths they had just hunted. Though the aroma was tempting, cooking a calamity, they knew exactly what the ingredients were. However, crunch, the sound of Kyungi biting into the fried squid. Huh? What? Shook their resolve. Gulp. Baden and his subordinates swallowed their saliva. Maybe just one bite. Hesitantly, they picked up a piece of fried squid, dipped it in soy sauce like Kyungi, and carefully put it in their mouths. And then, crunch. The moment they tasted Sejun's cooking, Baden and his subordinates were stunned. This is actually delicious. Contrary to their expectations, the fried squid was unbelievably tasty. On top of that, it granted a special effect that enhanced fire-based attacks. While they were eating dinner, Sejunum, if we head north, we can take down the petrifying spider, then move east to deal with the flesh eaters. Baden explained their next movement route to Sejun. With a vast intelligence network covering almost all of Avian, Baden used it to track down calamities. Then tomorrow morning's breakfast will be king crab ramen. Kyung. At Sejun's words, Kyungi cheered while munching on his fried squid. Then let's depart right away. Yes. Sejun and his party rode horses through the dark desert. Flying would have been faster, but I wanted to tour the desert on horseback. Sejun wanted to experience traveling through the desert on horseback. The reason this was possible was that most of Avian residents were nomadic tribes. Having received Baden's information, they had moved away from areas affected by the calamities, so the damage caused by them was minimal. Without realizing it, Baden was building a positive reputation among Avian's residents. And so, Sejun mounted his horse for the desert tour. Giddy up. Nay. In response to Sejun's command, the horse completely ignored him. But then, Pew Hut, obey the words of great hybrid chairman Park Meow, move out meow. Kyung Kyung. Stay still you, if you don't listen to Dad you'll be in trouble. Nay. I will listen. As soon as Theo and Kyungi stepped in, the horse suddenly began to understand commands. Tremble, tremble. Though it did shake its legs slightly in nervousness. Kilahit kaying kaying. Hee too bad. Great Blackie was about to punish you. Blackie added a comment with a smug expression. It sounded like bravado, but it was not. If Blackie had stepped in, the horse's soul would have been erased. After riding north for about 5 hours, Kieka, they spotted the petrifying spiders. Sejun Company full-time employee, Avian S. Hero, the radiant star of the desert Baden, has slain the petrifying spider. You have obtained 250,000 experience points, which is 25% of the experience points acquired by Baden, the full-time employee of Sejun Company, Avian S. Hero, the radiant star of the desert. Black Tower's lucky legendary merchant, Park Thea. Advanced herbalist Park Kyungi. Come on everyone fighting. Sejun cheered on his team while staying on his horse. Hey, stay still. Nay. I was staying still. He randomly yelled at his still-standing horse just for the sake of it. A little while later, "You have leveled up." Sejun leveled up and reached level 170. And then a job quest has been generated. Job quest. 1,000 years ago, Avian was a vast, lush grassland. However, due to an unknown heat, the land lost its vitality and turned into a desert. Find and eliminate the unknown heat and make 10,000 flowers bloom in Avian. Reward. Level 171 unlock. 30 billion tower coins. All stats plus 1000. A job quest message appeared before Sejun. Find and eliminate the unknown heat and make 10,000 flowers bloom. Create thundercloud. After confirming the quest, Sejun used the rain thunder skill to form thunderclouds in the sky. Rumble. The sky within a 60 km radius around Sejun was covered with dark clouds. Moreover, gulp. Sejun ate a magical blue bean and a transcendence black bean at the same time, causing the thunderclouds to grow even larger. With his magic power amplified 16 times, the radius of the clouds also expanded 16 times, completely engulfing the surrounding area in darkness. And then, let it rain. Sejun started a light drizzle. He didn't need to pour too much rain. He only wanted to moisten the soil for future farming and locate the unknown heat. Kaying. Butler, I'm getting all wet. Blackie grumbled as he got drenched. All right. Clank. To avoid the rain, Sejun opened the door to his void storage and went inside, watching the battle unfold outside. Meow. Kyung. Theo and Kyungi took down 95% of the petrifying spiders. Dai. Baden took care of the remaining 5%. Baden's subordinates merely stood by in the rain, watching. The petrifying spiders were not an enemy they could take down without getting hurt. A little while later, as Sejun ran out of magic power, he stopped the rain. Pew Hut, Chairman Park, it's over, meow. Kyung. Kyungi want to eat king crab ramen quickly. Theo and Kyungi returned after finishing off the petrifying spiders. Hurry up and load them. Make sure the legs don't break while loading. Baden and his subordinates began loading the petrifying spider corpses into the void storage. Hehe, just wait a moment. Meanwhile, Sejun set the water to boil for the ramen and prepared the petrifying spider legs to be added to the dish. He also grilled 3 fish for Theo to eat. Once the ramen was ready, slurp, the group began eating. Make it rain. Sejun again began a light drizzle, eating king crab ramen inside the void storage while watching the soft rain fall outside. The atmosphere was perfect, and the rich aroma of ramen carried through the damp air, stimulating their appetite. Haha, this looks delicious. Sejun quickly scooped up a spoonful of broth and brought it to his mouth. Gulp. Krrr. The cool yet spicy broth slid down his throat, instantly refreshing him. He hadn't even been drinking, but it felt like the perfect hangover cure. Slurp, slurp. Sejun fully immersed himself in devouring the ramen. After finishing his bowl, who wants to mix in some rice? Kyung. At Sejun's call, Kyungi eagerly raised his front paw. Seeing this, Baden and his subordinates also followed suit and raised their hands. They had realized something. The best way to eat was to copy Kyungi exactly. All right, here you go. Sejun handed out the pre-cooled rice he had prepared. Slurp. The group mixed the rice into the ramen broth and resumed their meal. Once breakfast was finished, they set off eastward toward the flesh eaters. 2 hours later, Kika, a horde of flesh eaters appeared, moving through the desert. We'll handle these ones, sir. Step. Baden stepped forward confidently. Wait. Sejun stopped him. And then, summon door. Thud. Sejun summoned a gate leading to the 10th tower. Click. He inserted the key into the gate and opened it. Guys, come on out. He called into the door. At that moment, Kiki, Kiki. Destruction devourers poured out in response to Sejun's call. Kiki. They immediately fixed their gazes on the flesh eaters, sensing their aura of destruction. Kika. Sensing the threat instinctively, the flesh eaters reacted with hostility toward the destruction devourers. But, Kiki, Kiki. The destruction devourers kept coming. There was no end to them. Soon, the flesh eaters were completely surrounded. Chomp chomp. The destruction devourers began devouring the energy of destruction from their foes. Since assimilating the enemy still counted as an elimination for quest completion, there was no need to slay them outright. A short while later, Kiki, Kiki. The entire area was filled with nothing but destruction devourers. All right, time to go back. Sejun sent the destruction devourers back, and Kiki, Kiki. In an orderly line, the destruction devourers marched back into the 10th tower. And then, Kilahit Kaying. Hee, listen up, everyone. Great boss Blackie will now tell you of his glorious achievements. Earlier, my butler tried to. Before returning, Blackie started boasting to the destruction devourers in line, recounting his latest feat. How Sejun had tried to make him diet, but he had successfully protected his roasted sweet potato snack. Is that really something to be proud of? While Sejun looked at Blackie in utter disbelief. Meow. Suddenly, Theo started looking around frantically. Vice Chairman Theo, what's wrong? Yona is here, meow. Clank. Theo hurriedly opened the void storage. And then, Kaiwat, Theonim. Just as she was about to step out of the gate, Iona flung herself toward Theo. Pew hut, Iona, be careful, meow. You might get hurt, meow. Theo caught Iona gently as he spoke. Kaiwat, okay. There was no way she would actually get hurt from falling from this height. She could simply use flight magic. But, Kaiwat, Theonim is worried about me. Feeling overjoyed by Theo's concern, Iona nodded with a blissful expression. Iona, welcome. Kaiwat, Sejunim, hello. With that, Iona joined the group, immediately clinging to Theo's tail and... Baden, where do we head next? There are reports of giant blood-sucking leeches appearing to the southwest, sir. Oh yeah, then let's go right away. Yes. Sejun and his group set off toward the next calamity. A short while later, Kaiwat, power of gravity, dropped the floating stones from the sky upon the enemy, meteor. The giant blood-sucking leeches were instantly turned into perfectly dried seaweed. Make it rain. Guys, load the seaweed over here. Sejun summoned thunderclouds, made it rain over the area, and directed Baden and his subordinates on where to put the dried leech seaweed. At that moment, sizzle. Unlike other areas, one spot immediately evaporated the rain upon contact, producing a sharp hissing sound. Kyung. Curious about the sound, Kyungi approached the spot. Sniff, sniff. This smells like herbs. There was a faint smell of medicinal herbs coming from underground. Hehe, Kyungi will get praised by Dad. Excited, Kyungi dug tens of kilometers into the ground in search of the herbs. And a lava lake appeared. And in the center of the lake, baby extreme flame herb. On a small island in the middle of the lava lake, there was the rare herb Sejun needed to become an SS-rank tower farmer. Kyungi found it. Delighted at the thought of getting praised by Sejun, Kyungi flew toward the island. But at that moment, dares awaken my slumber. Rumble. The small island began to rise. Chapter 639. Oh no, it's all burnt. There was an unspoken rule in the Black Tower. That was, urine is banned from entering. A law prohibiting urine's entry. The moment urine arrived, the country would be thrown into chaos, so banning him was the only option. However, the ban was not absolute. There were two conditions under which urine could enter. One was if he was accompanied by Poyo, the sand fairy who consumed misfortune. However, even then, he could only stay for up to 3 days. As Yurin grew stronger in the wrong way, he developed an ability where, if he stayed in the same place for more than 3 days, a great misfortune would occur. This calamity appeared instantly without any warning, making it impossible for even Poyo to stop. It was, quite literally, a disaster. When Sejun met Yurin at the House of Demon, Yurin had hesitated on the 3rd day, not wanting to leave, which led to Rattan descending. Had Sejun and his companions not been there, it would have been a disaster. The other condition, allowing Yurin to enter, was if he was with Theo. Because of this, Yurin led a wandering life. I miss Theonim. While walking, Yurin suddenly longed for Theo. At least when Theo was around, things always ended well somehow. On top of that, Yuehe, Sejun is by Theonim's side. If he stayed by Theo's side, he could enjoy 3 good meals a day. Pio, I miss Theonim too. I want to serve Theonim up close. Mohe, me too. The misfortune Theonim creates has a unique flavor. While Yurin spoke, Piat and Poyo responded with entirely different thoughts. As they continued walking, they arrived at the Red Ribbon Kingdom on the 55th floor of the Black Tower. Yurenim, your entry has been confirmed. Since Poyanim is with you, you must leave within 3 days. You have got it. Hearing the gray rabbit conducting the immigration check, Yurin grinned happily and entered the city. And then, Yurenim has entered. From now dispatch 2 pink pigs. The soldiers of the Red Ribbon Kingdom entered a state of emergency. Avian, we won't have to worry about seaweed for a while. Sejun smiled contentedly as he looked at the pile of seaweed in his void storage. And then, Baden, where are we going next? There have been reports of a locust swarm appearing in the west. Then should we have chicken for dinner? Huh? There was no reaction. Sejun looked around in confusion. Where's my Kyungi? The pro-reaction master, Kyungi, was nowhere to be seen. Realizing Kyungi was missing, Sejun didn't feel immediate anxiety. Kyungi wasn't the type to get into trouble or be beaten up somewhere. Kyungi. Sejun called out loudly for Kyungi. Normally, no matter how far away he was, he would respond with a Kyung and come flying over. But there was no response. Where did he go? Sejun's heart suddenly pounded, and his palms grew sweaty. He knew logically that Kyungi wasn't in danger, but he couldn't help feeling uneasy. What if he was somewhere alone, crying? Kyungi, Dad's coming. Everyone spread out in search for Kyungi. Yes. Sejun gave orders to Baden and his subordinates. Kyungi. Kyungi, where are you? Kaiwat, Kyungi, where are you? Kaying. Kyungi Hyung, where are you? Together, they started searching for Kyungi. As they searched for a long time. Is it this way? Sejun's instincts pointed in one direction. This is a Kyungi detector. He thought he only had a Theo detector, but he realized he also had a Kyungi detector. Hurriedly, Sejun activated the Kyungi detector and ran toward where he sensed Kyungi's presence. SSSHHH. Unlike the other areas, there was a suspicious spot where the ground wasn't wet despite Sejun's rain. And Kyungi's presence was coming from beneath his feet. Vice Chairman Theo. Got it, meow. Boom. Reading Sejun's thoughts, Theo struck the ground with his front paw, creating a massive hole. Let's go. Without a moment's hesitation, Sejun jumped into the pitch-black hole. The hole was incredibly deep, and Sejun continued falling down. The deeper they went, the stronger the heat became. However, for Sejun, who possessed the title, reborn from flames, it wasn't hot at all. Theo, of course, was perfectly fine as well. Keikaing. Butler, it's too hot. Pipiak pipiak. Great Blackianim, I will cool you down, hup. Shari was working hard for the Blackie family, but Keikaing. Great Blackie is dying from the heat. But the surrounding heat was too intense for it to be of much help. At that moment, Pew Hut Yona helped them out meow. Kaiwat Kaiwat Kaiwat. Yes, power of ice lower the temperature cooling. Yona cast magic around the Blackie family, relieving them from the scorching heat. A short while later, light, the bottom of the hole, began to come into view. Meow. As they neared the end of the hole, Theo dug his claws into the wall to slow their fall. Arrived. Sejun and his companions safely touched the ground. And then, it's Kyungi. Kyung. Boom. They spotted a giant Kyungi fighting a lava giant inside the molten lava. Kyung. Dad, just wait a little. Kyungi is gathering herbs. Boom crash. Kyungi, upon confirming Sejun's arrival, called out to him while fiercely pounding the lava giant. My Kyungi, you haven't been gathering herbs like this all along, have you? The lava giant quickly regenerated its damaged parts with molten lava after each of Kyungi's attacks. Oddly enough, Kyungi wasn't touching the giant's head, making it difficult to completely subdue. Why is he doing that? Sensing something unusual, Sejun focused his gaze on the lava giant's head. And then, that's baby extreme flame herb. Why are you there? He figured out why Kyungi wasn't touching the lava giant's head. It's because of me. Kyungi couldn't bring himself to hit the lava giant's head because the baby extreme flame herb was growing there, and he didn't want to damage it. Kyungi, use a headlock. Kyung. What's a headlock? Pew Hut, I know what a headlock is, meow. It's done like this, meow. Kaying. What the? Let me go, or the great Blackie will get mad. Having experienced many headlocks from Sejun himself, Theo demonstrated by wrapping his front paws around Blackie's neck. Kyung. Following Theo's lead, Kyungi applied a headlock on the lava giant, successfully restraining it. And then, Pew Hut, Kyungi, keep holding it down, meow. Kyung. Got it. At some point, Theo had already leaped onto the lava giant's head and thud. Stamped it. Pew Hut, welcome to the company, meow. And with that, the lava giant officially joined Sejun company. Kyuhiha. Pipayak. Kyungi then shrank his body and carefully harvested the baby extreme flame herb growing on the lava giant's head. Kyung. Dad, here it is. Thanks, but Park Kyungi, you know you're in trouble, right? Kyung. Kyungi's in trouble. Kyungi tilted his head innocently at Sejun's words. After all, he had been gathering herbs for Sejun, so he thought there was no reason to be scolded. Of course you're in trouble. You have to tell me if you're going somewhere. Imagine if Dad disappeared without telling you. Hearing this, Kyungi imagined a scenario where his dad disappeared without a word. Of course, the disappearance of Sunfish Sejun and the disappearance of Apocalypse Beast Kyungi couldn't really be compared, but Kyung. Kyungi would be worried. Kyungi would feel uneasy. Kyungi did wrong. The lesson was effective, and Kyungi quickly realized his mistake. You won't do it again, right? Kyung. Kyungi won't do it again. Next time, I'll tell Dad if I'm going somewhere. Good, you must always do that from now on, okay? Dad was really worried. Kyung. Hasn't got it. Kyungi snuggled into Sejun's arms as he responded. But you still have to be punished. Kyung. The punishment for making me worry is belly raspberry, BRRRRP. Sejun blew a raspberry on Kyungi's belly as punishment. Kyuhiha. Kyungi burst into uncontrollable laughter. If I hide here, Butler will worry about me, right? Wanting to receive a belly raspberry too, Blackie put his head in the wall and hid. Meanwhile, Pew Hut, by the way, what's your name, newbie, meow? Theo asked for the new full-time employee's name. I don't have one. The lava giant scratched his head at Theo's question. Pew Hut, don't worry, meow. Our great hybrid Chairman Park is excellent at nomming. Chairman Park, this guy doesn't have a name, meow. Give him one, meow. Theo quickly called for Sejun. Heh, oh really? Hoo, naming is my specialty. Dudung. Sejun naming shop is open. As the Sejun naming shop opened after a long time. Kilahit kaying. He butler is naming. Dedada. Unable to hold back, Blackie, who had been hiding his head the wall, dashed over with eager eyes, excitedly watching Sejun's naming performance. And then, Young Boon, you're Young Boon from now on. Sejun named the lava giant. The name came from combining lava and the fact that the giant had served as a flower pot for the baby extreme flame herb. TL. Koyongbun enus. Yangboon equals Koyong enus from Koyongum enus, meaning lava, plus Kopun enus, meaning flower pot. Kilahit kaying. He, as expected of Butler, his name is Yangboon. If it's Yangboon, PFFFT, that means dragon poop. TL. Since Koyong enus, Yang means dragon in English, whereas the second part, Kopun enus, boon, also means dung poop in English. Kurug. Sharaling. The Blackie family completely misinterpreted Sejun's intention, laughing and celebrating what they believed to be an all-time great name. Yuwo. Yangboon. The lava giant repeated his new name to himself. At that moment, the effect of talent, Namer, has been activated. The name Yangboon has been imbued with a special effect. All stats have increased by 1,000. Bloodline, lava giant, has been strengthened. Talent, hot flower pot, has bloomed. Due to the effect of the name or talent, the name Yangboon received special enhancements. The hot flower pot talent allowed him to cultivate elixirs infused with the power of fire. With Sejun's naming completed, Pushu Hut, Yangboon, give me your blood, meow. Theo demanded blood from Yangboon. So far, Sejun had consumed bronze giant's blood, silver giant's blood, and Landorus, earth giant's lava bloodstone. Pushu Hut, Chairman Park hasn't had lava giant's blood yet, meow. Yuwo. Here you go. At Theo's words, Yangboon cut the tip of his finger and squeezed out a few drops of blood. Bubble, bubble. The lava giant's blood boiled intensely. I'm supposed to drink this. Sejun found it utterly unappetizing. Still, he cautiously brought his fingertip to the blood. Then, whoosh. Oh, that feels nice and cool. A cooling sensation spread from his fingertips. The power of fire optimized Sejun's fingers to their best possible state thanks to his title, Reborn from Flames. Encouraged, Sejun boldly put Yangboon's blood into his mouth. But, oog, he had forgotten, giant blood tastes disgustingly bad. For some reason, it even had a hint of poop flavor. Chairman Park, you can't spit it out, meow. Before Sejun could spit it out, Theo quickly used his front paw to cover Sejun's mouth. Gulp. Sejun barely managed to swallow Yangboon's blood. And then you have consumed the blood of the lava giant, Yangboon. All stats have increased by 3,000. All stat potential has increased by 5%. Talent needing has bloomed. The painful price he paid was immediately reflected in the system message. Needing. Sejun quickly checked the details of the talent, needing. You can knead stone with your heated hands to shape it as desired. Your hands only become hot when touching stone. The description isn't in overly polite language. This system really lacks consistency. Originally, if you dislike someone, everything they do is dislikable. After cursing the system, Yona, lift us up. Kaiwat. Yes, power of wind, lift us upward, levitation. With Yona's help, they ascended back to the surface. Yangboon also came up with them, but SSSSHHH. He was melting all the sand. Yangboon, lower your temperature a bit. You're melting everything. Yuwo. Yangboon looked troubled at Sejun's words, telling a lava giant to lower its temperature. That was absurd. But nothing is impossible. Blackie, go in. Kilahit kaying. He, butler, leave it to great Blackie. Thunk. With a confident expression, Blackie headbutted Young Boon's body. And gradually, Young Boon's body temperature started to decrease. At that moment, where's this smoke coming from? Sejun noticed gray smoke rising in the air. He followed it to its source and saw. Whoosh. The fur on Blackie's forehead was on fire. It must have caught fire during the headbutt earlier. Sejun quickly put out the flames, but oh no, it's all burnt. A large bald spot had already formed on Blackie's forehead. Pew hub, what should we do? Struggling to hold back his laughter, Sejun pondered how to cover up Blackie's bald spot. Chapter 640. Let's finish before Blackie wakes up. Forest of Creation. I finally made a 0.1% avatar. Flamey looked proudly at Flamey number 200, which she had created. There was still a long way to go, but she was steadily improving. I need to practice more. Just as the excited Flamey was about to create another avatar. That's enough. The trial statue, which had been silently observing until now, spoke. What do you mean? It's not enough yet. No, that should be sufficient. It's time to begin the trial. The trial statue spoke in a slightly anxious tone. Okay. I don't want to take the test. Flamey, who had been delaying the trial as much as possible, responded in a gloomy voice. Of course, it wasn't because she was afraid of the trial. Once she passed the fourth trial, it would become even harder to see Sejun. Passing the trial would make her stronger, which meant she would have to practice creating even weaker avatars, delaying the time she could meet Sejun. Then the fourth trial will begin. The trial statue spoke firmly to Flamey. It had initially planned to wait longer, but an urgent reason had arisen to start the trial quickly. Someone was interfering in the trial site, affecting the trial itself. If things continued as they were, one of the 5 locations designated for this trial would disappear. The fourth trial requires you to use your avatar to transform the 5 great wastelands into lands brimming with life. However, your avatar can only possess up to 5% of your main body's power. Understood, but where are the 5 great wastelands? The 5 great wastelands are Avian, Sirna. The trial statue listed the 5 great wastelands to Flamey. That was it. The reason Flamey had to take the trial quickly was because Sejun was already turning Avian into a land full of life. And then, Avian is where Sejunum is. Flamey, who was fully aware of Sejun's every move. Sejunum is helping me. That means this is a team play between Sejunum and me. Thinking that she was taking the trial together with Sejun, her previously gloomy mood brightened completely. Avian. Abundance, abundance. Let's finish before Blackie wakes up. Sejun was using his power diligently to make Blackie's bald spot grow back. Gulp, gulp. While earnestly drinking mugwort juice of life potion. Despite being Sunfish Blackie's fur, because of his bloodline, even after using his power dozens of times, the fur didn't grow back. He had considered hiding the bald spot and feeding Blackie some exploding stamina corn, but hiding the bald spot was difficult. And feeding him was even harder. Getting Blackie, a die-hard fan of roasted and dried sweet potato, to eat corn was no easy task. Using his power was a much simpler solution. A little while later. Done. Sejun had finally covered up Blackie's bald spot when. Killahit Kaying. Butler, great Blackie has solved it. Blackie woke up and barked triumphantly. And then. Woola. Yangboon turned completely pale and froze, not metaphorically, literally turning into ice. There's a saying that the mind controls the body, but turning a lava giant into an ice giant. Sejun was amazed at the abilities of the Blackie family. Should he rename him to Ilboon instead? While thinking such idle thoughts, you have eliminated the unknown heat of Avian. Congratulations on making progress in your quest. A message appeared in front of Sejun. What was that sarcasm? It was clearly a congratulatory message, but Sejun felt annoyed. At this point, no matter how much praise he received, he could no longer take it as genuine from System 371. So Yangbun was the unknown heat, huh? It wasn't intentional, but the quest was being completed smoothly. Alright, now let's go hunt the locusts. Kuehe Kuang. Hehe, that means dinner is chicken, right? Hehe, that's right, spicy chicken too. Kuang. Kuangi cheered at Sejun's words. Yes, that's the reaction he wanted. Seeing Kuangi's reaction, Sejun smiled in satisfaction. Alright, let's head out. Puhu Hut understood meow. Kaiwat, yes. Kuang. Kaying. Just as Sejun and his group were about to move again to deal with the calamity. Sejunum, you haven't forgotten your promise with me, right? Yona looked at Sejun, asking with her eyes. And then, Vice Chairman Theo, take care of the other side. As soon as Sejun made eye contact with Yona, he assigned Theo a task. Meow, no way meow, I'm going with Chairman Park meow. Theo, unwilling to be separated from Sejun, flatly refused. However, I'm entrusting it to you because you're the vice chairman I trust the most. Puhu Hut, so that's how it is meow. Then I, Vice Chairman Theo, who has the full trust of Great Hybrid Chairman Park, will take care of it meow. Theo was instantly swayed by Sejun's words. In return, I'll send Yona with you, so finish it quickly and come back. Puhu Hut, understood meow. Yona, let's go meow. Kaiwat, yes. Sejun naturally paired Theo with Yona, successfully setting up a date for the two. Yona fighting. Sejunum, thank you. Yona sent a grateful look to Sejun for his support, and then departed eastward with Theo. Today, the calamities of Avian would not face an enraged Yona, but a happy Yona instead. Though the outcome, death by meteor, would remain the same. Well then, shall we move too? Sejun and his group headed west. 55th floor of the Black Tower. White Castle, the royal palace of the Red Ribbon Kingdom. What, Uranim has entered the kingdom? What about my uncle? Did my uncle come with him? Upon hearing about Urin's arrival, Hugh Walbach asked urgently. In truth, he needed Theo, but there was a 99% chance that Theo was wherever Sejun was, and Sejun was wherever Theo was, so it was practically the same thing. He did not come. I had a dream about eating rotten carrots last night. Urin had shown up on the very day Hugh Walbach had a bad dream. It was an ominous sign. Quickly, contact the 99th floor of the tower and tell my uncle to come here. Well, Sejunum is not currently in the Black Tower. What? Of all times, why did my uncle have to leave the tower now? Hugh Walbach was filled with worry. At that moment, Peepayak, please accept my confession. Peepip. I'm on duty, step aside. Peepayak, then at least have dinner with me later. 199. Peepip. I have plans, now go away. Huh. Master Bo. Hugh Walbach's eyes caught sight of Bache bothering Lara, the deputy commander of the Royal Guards, while she was on duty. A few days ago, Bache had come to the Red Ribbon Kingdom in search of love. Where is my ideal type? He was still searching for a female with a thick, luxurious black fur. As he wandered through the streets, Peepip. Guys, what should we eat? Peepip. Lara Unnai, a new shop opened selling spicy grilled carrots, and it's really popular these days. Peepip. Really? Then let's go there. Peepip. Yes, Lara Unnai. A group of black rabbits with thick, lush fur passed right in front of Bache. And then, thump. Bache's heart was instantly stolen by Lara, the black rabbit wearing a yellow ribbon on her ear. I found her, my ideal type. Peepayak. Beautiful Lady Lara, please go out with me. As a master of swordsmanship, Bache never missed an opening and struck immediately, but romance was vastly different from swordplay. Instead of targeting openings, one had to fill them. And then, ting, peep-pip. No way. As expected, Lara's defenses were impenetrable. She completely blocked Bachai's confession attack, and since then, Bachai had been following her around, confessing to her every chance he got, even coming all the way to her workplace. It was truly the worst. But the worst part was that whenever someone else appeared, Bachai would immediately hide, making it so that even when Lara reported an intruder, no one believed her. As a result, rumors had started spreading that Lara was seeing things. There was no way his confessions would work when he kept pulling such irritating stunts. However, is love impossible for me in this lifetime? Bachai was heartbroken, clueless about what he was doing wrong. This is perfect. Let's assign Lara to monitor urine. Watching Bachai, Hugh Walbach came up with a brilliant idea. Hey, Lara. Yes. After giving the order, Lara soon rushed off to where urine was. Master Bo. Hugh Walbach called out to Bachai, who was about to follow after her. Peepayak, peepayak. Did you see that? Feeling a little embarrassed, Bachai cleared his throat as he revealed himself. Of course, he had been caught. He had been trailing after one of his disciples' subordinates inside the palace ruled by his disciple's nephew. Peepayak, peepayak. Of course I saw it. Need some help. Peepayak. Yes. Nod, nod. Bachai nodded vigorously at Hugh Walbach's question. Peepayak. Leave it to me. Hugh Walbach confidently declared. A short while later. Peep-pip. I have to monitor urine with you. Peepayak, peepayak. That's right, I'm counting on you. With coaching from the married man Hugh Walbach, Bachai appeared, holding an official order from him. Avian. Pew hut, Chairman Park, I'm back, meow. Kaiwat, me too. Sejun, who was frying chicken, suddenly found his vision darkened as Theo and Iona returned. Did you take care of everything? Pew hut, of course, meow. Iona helped with magic, so we finished quickly, meow. Kaiwo. Hearing Theo's words, Iona suddenly entered stage one of an angered Kaiwo. She had planned to wrap things up quickly with magic so she could have more time for their date, but Theo, oblivious as ever, had immediately returned to Sejun. It was understandable why Iona was furious. Iona, I'll set up another chance for you later. Sejun winked at Iona, promising her another date with Theo. Kaiwat, I trust you, Sejunim. Receiving Sejun's promise, Iona's smile returned. And then came mealtime. Theo ate grilled fish, Iona had roasted peanuts, and the Blackie family munched on roasted and dried sweet potatoes. KHH, nothing beats chicken and beer. Kua Kuang. KHH, nothing beats chicken and cola. Sejun and Kyungi enjoyed their chicken with beer and cola. And then, KHH, nothing beats chicken and cola. Baden and his subordinates once again followed Kyungi's lead, drinking cola with their chicken. No matter how much Sejun insisted that chicken and beer tasted better, it was no use. Kyungi was just a kid who couldn't drink beer. Anyway, they happily spent their last night in Avian. The next morning, we're heading out now, so take good care of the field. Yes, leave it to me. Sejun entrusted the field to Baden and returned to the White Tower with his group before making their way back to the Black Tower. The seeds had already been planted, and since it would take time for the flowers to bloom, he planned to deal with the calamities in other worlds in the meantime. He brought Young Boon along as well. Young Boon's power was too destructive for Avian, but he had a talent that could be useful to herbalist Kyungi Hot Flower Pot. Upon returning to the Black Tower, Aileen, I'm back. He reported his return to Aileen. Kyung. Dad, I'll take Young Boon to the herb farm. All right. While waiting for Kyungi to take Young Boon to the herb farm, Sejun checked the 10th tower for any anomalies and then proceeded to visit Jormungandr's stomach. And then, well, That's a lot. In a corner, Sejun discovered an enormous pool of tears of the incomplete creator god. It seemed to be nearly a liter in volume. On the other hand, there was not a single trace of destruction. Sejun's. Here you go. Sejun immediately converted the tears into great growth elixir, and in front of him, 500 glass bottles filled with red liquid appeared. Oh! Each bottle contained 200 drops of the great growth elixir, which meant 100,000 drops. Sejun was astonished at his own calculations. And then, this is. Even the creator god was greatly shocked upon seeing the image formed by the beads extracted from the tears of the incomplete creator god that Sejun had sent.